All right, we're gonna be just doing a random live here since I'm in the car. We're gonna be taking questions, so give me a moment. But one of the things we're gonna be asking is, are you a happy voter? We're what, almost 5 months in. It's been a busy. I mean, Trump is a busy guy. So I'm just gonna be asking folks, are you a happy voter? But I'm also gonna be letting folks, if you got political questions to ask, just about the show, things. If you want to know political things about my stance, or other viewers, we're gonna just kind of have an open forum today, and I want to see where you guys' head is at. So give me a moment to get my other what do you call it, platform up, and we'll get it going momentarily. But today is kind of an open forum where I'm just taking questions. If you got political questions you wanted to know, things about the host, things about other viewers. Certainly, we're going to try to tackle that today. That's what we're going to be doing today. Just simply put, an open forum. So I'm almost ready to go on my other platform. And once I do that, we should be able to get this program on the road here. Let's see if oh shit, what did I just hit? Okay, there we go. All right, so we should be good. And I'll start up the TikTok side of things momentarily here. Let's see here. I always get this piece. I'm always just not ready with this. I don't give a damn. Sub only chat. What is this? I can't see what the damn thing is saying. Sometimes they can turned off. Okay. I don't need my laugh. I continue confirming you meet the age requirement. Okay. All right. So apparently TikTok is now requiring, per what I just seen here by going live, they're now requiring that for you to host a live, you got to be 18 years of age or older. So I had to confirm that I'm 18. Okay, fair enough. All right, so we're going to be just doing this is just a basic live where we don't have the host of topics this time. I just want to ask you folks, simply put, we're going to be asking, are you a happy voter? And I'm taking questions today. I'm going to allow myself to be the pin cushion. If you've ever wanted to ask the host a question, political, things in regards to what we normally discuss. I'll leave myself out there. You can ask questions. You want to talk about, you want to ask questions about other viewers that I may have. I'll certainly see what I can do. But we're just taking questions. We want to make it a more entertaining program. So if you think I'm getting something wrong, we have these occasionally where you can, where you can come in here. Like I said, I'm always about free speech. So this is one of the programs where you absolutely will get a chance to be completely open on speech here. So if you want to, if there's criticism, if there's compliments, if there's complaints, suggestions, I want to hear them all today in regards to making it a more entertaining program. How do I feel about crypto, says Chris G. It's looking like it's going to potentially be the currency of the future. I'm not invested in crypto as of now, but I'm rethinking it day by day because we have a very much a pro crypto president. So if there was ever a time, in my opinion, is now. I mean, you got Trump is absolutely pro crypto to the point where he has his own crypto. So now that may change once his term is done, because it would not have a strong stance after Trump leaves office. There's no guarantee that will happen, but let's say after Trump is gone, the liberals are put in a strong position. It would not surprise me if they do things, if they are able to do things, they will try to do things to destroy a lot of avenues Trump made money on while he was president, because some would suggest that some of the things he's doing might not be kosher, for lack of a better term, up to and including trying to destroy his crypto. But right now, I believe Trump crypto is probably not a bad investment. Just my opinion. I'm not involved in it, but I know for a fact there has to be a lot of money to be made around Trump, because he is literally dripping in cash. All of the big players are eager to put money in his hands. So he is dripping in cash. There has to be ways of getting involved in something that's near that guy to make money. He's dripping in it. Anyway, looking in the comments though, somebody said 0 likes. Tap the screen, smash that like button. We just started. Feel free to smash that like button on YouTube since somebody pointed that out. We haven't been live but 2 or 3 minutes. Actually 5 minutes, 49 seconds. So, but tap the screen, get the likes up. If you enjoyed civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, this is the right place. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We have always been MAGA friendly since day one. We always will be. Today is no exception. And for my TikTok viewers, tap the screen, get the likes up as well. We're just taking questions. This is a basic live. I'm asking the question, are you a happy voter? Do you like the direction America's going in right now? Talking about complaints or compliments of the current administration. And of course, I'm taking those as well as a host because I want to have a more entertaining program. I gotta say it is challenging trying to keep MAGA and liberals all in one location at once. It is a very challenging thing to do. And if you notice on most social media platforms, you don't get that type of a mix very well without somebody beating the shit out of somebody else. We don't beat the hell out of anybody on this program. We try to maintain civilized conversation between all sides, but it can be challenging because neither side wants to hear their candidate or their ideas of choice being criticized. And when you got everybody in one place, there's no way to avoid that. We're going to be critical. That's how free speech works. So looking in the comments real quick, let LOL name one without corruption, says Chris G. True, but Trump is in month 4. I would say this, even though people did not like Trump his first term, people were bitching and complaining about Trump his first term. This is different. This is different. Even the pardons. Let's talk about just the pardons. How many people is he pardoning? Damn. I mean, we're talking about yesterday he pardoned a murderer. He's only in month 4. We can talk about Biden pardoning his family and shit, but that's after 4 years, not 4 months. This is different. This isn't Trump 1.0. Trump 2.0 is a whole different president. In fact, I'll tell you this, if you had stated predictions of what Trump 2.0 was going to do, if you had told people he's going to do this with the tariffs, he's going to do this with the pardons, he's going to be letting out, it would have been liberal fear-mongering. You need to quit listening to the damn mainstream media. There's no way in hell he's going to impose tariffs on every damn nation on earth. There's no way in hell he's going to be pardoning, or he's going to be, deporting kids with cancer. That shit ain't going to happen. The liberals need to quit fear-mongering. Trump 2.0 is different than the first Trump. There's no way around that. He has a lot more power, a lot more loyalty, so he is a different president. P. Diddy next says, Gary Boy. I asked that question on the video, and I'll run it by you folks, because, look, fact is, if you have celebrity status, if you have a decent amount of wealth and acquisitions, and you speak highly of Trump, you can make shit happen with him. So when someone in the comments said that P. Diddy is next, what do you think? I mean, P. Diddy was worth $1 billion before he went in. I'm assuming he's losing money with settlements with rape victims and all this other shit, but he's still worth hundreds of millions. What are the chances you start hearing P. Diddy just stand up in the middle of motherfucking court and go MAGA 2028? What are the chances you hear P. Diddy start speaking favorable of Trump? Because I think regardless of how you feel about Trump, love him or hate him, whatever the case may be, you guys are all welcome on the program, but let's be clear, regardless of how you feel about Trump, flattery will get you everywhere with him. I don't think that's up for debate. Is there anybody that believe flattery is not currency with President Trump at this point? Anybody? Looking in the comments, federal court blocked Trump's tariffs, LOL, deemed unconstitutional. Yeah, we talked about that. And here's the problem. Mexico, China, Canada, they all imposed reciprocal tariffs on America. They wanted revenge for what Trump imposed on them. Now, the judge has stopped Trump's tariffs, but the courts in America have no jurisdiction tariffs on us. So if Trump's tariffs are canceled by the courts here, unless China, Canada, and Mexico rescind their tariffs out of the kindness of their heart, we could find ourselves in a situation where we're the only one being tariffed. We could literally find ourselves in a situation where we're the only one being tariffed. And I asked that in the video, did Trump fuck that up? Did he mess that up? Did he impose these tariffs and the courts neutralized his tariffs, but now all of these tariffs that were imposed as revenge are still hanging out there. So we're really hoping that China, Canada, and Mexico, out of the kindness of their heart, decide, well, since he can't fuck with us, we'll leave him alone. Because this isn't good. I mean, we'll see what happens. This is coming from Nick, says, you're telling me you're sitting in your personal vehicle and not smoking a cigarette? Wow, brother, nicotine rocks. What the fuck does that have to do? I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I don't know what the purpose of that comment was, but okay. Continuing on, Larry Hoover was way worse than P. Diddy, buddy. I want to say yes. Obviously, his crimes are considerably worse. I mean, Larry Hoover is in there for murder, and Trump just pardoned him. But we don't. I mean, P. Diddy is in there for some serious sexual assaults. I mean, yeah, Hoover is worse. I'm not going to deny that. But Hoover's crimes go back to the 70s. Go back to the 70s. So even though what Hoover did was worse, and I won't even say allegedly because he was convicted on it, but what Hoover did, even though it was worse, he has spent decades in prison. Whereas P. Diddy hasn't really spent any time in prison. He's in jail while his trial is going on, but he hasn't spent any time in prison. So even with Hoover, at least you can say, well, yeah, what he did was really wrong, but the man did spend, 20, 30 years probably 30 to 40 years in prison. I mean, he's been in prison, I think, all of my adult life. Damn near. So, what he did was wrong, but he has spent a lot of time behind bars. The guy's in his 70s. He's in his 70s. But pardoning that guy, while you're talking about MS-30 tattoos on their damn knuckles, and then you pardon this guy, I don't understand that. Are you a happy voter? That's what I'm asking. Is this what you voted for? I'm talking to my beloved MAGA. Are you happy with the pardons? Is this what you voted for? When you were at the rallies and you were cheering them on, I've been to a couple Trump rallies. He didn't talk about this shit, but is this what you voted for with President Trump? Don't blame the man because you're not funny, says Kefli. I blame him. I'm asking you, do you like what he did? Do you like what he did? First-time voter at 53, mutual felon. Voted for the greatest president of history, of presidents. Back thinking I would vote, involved civilly, involved with your civic duty to vote. So you are 53. You state you are a felon. You refer to it as a mutual felon, so you're not denying that Trump is a felon like many other folks do, but you're saying you're a mutual felon, and you also follow up by saying that Trump is the greatest president of history of presidents. The grammar's a little off, but you're basically saying Trump is the greatest president in history. I guess, and you're not the first I've heard say that. My immediate follow-up comment would be simple. It would be, okay, we've had presidents that defeated the British, talking about Washington, George Washington, helping make this country what it is. Abraham Lincoln obviously freed slaves through the Emancipation Act, giving freedom to a lot of folks. We could talk about Kennedy sending a man to the moon, or FDR, pretty much thwarting Hitler in World War II. Even Ronald Reagan is attributed with, getting rid of the Soviet. What has Trump done to make him the greatest in history? I mean, I just want to know. I'm not here to do anything but ask you that question. Right or wrong, I'll leave it to you to answer that in the comments. What has Trump accomplished for you to give him that label, greatest in history? I'd be curious to know. Anyway, continuing on. By the way, tap the screen, get the likes on up. We try to get to about 10,000. It helps out the algorithm. Certainly brings in more MAGA when you do that on TikTok. If you enjoy this type of dialogue on YouTube horizontal, YouTube vertical, feel free to smash that like button. Give your boy a sub. just taking questions today. So all we know, we asking, are you a happy voter? But we're taking questions. We want to deliver a more entertaining program. So if you got compliments, complaints, suggestions, throw that shit in there. We don't block, ban, or censor. So feel free to state your comments. I do have to adhere to the damn censors of the app. So don't just get in there and start typing in words and all that other bullshit. I know I got a few folks like that, but other than that, say what the hell you want to say. You know how we do it. He failed with the Tariffs, says DJ John. Well, see how that goes. In my opinion, now that you got these town halls and people are yelling at some of these Republican Congress people to have a damn spine and speak up because they passed a big, beautiful bill, and they're actually admitting they didn't read it. Remember when Nancy Pelosi was promoting Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, and she says, we got to pass it first and then we'll let you know what's in it, and the right one ape shit? Well, they did that with the big, beautiful bill, and they're actually admitting it. They actually are admitting at town halls that they signed and agreed with the big, beautiful bill, and they don't know what. Now, all of a sudden, criminals don't serve their time, hence January 6th insurrection. Wow. Well, you know something? In regards to that, because I did a video on it earlier. I don't think I got the notes with me on it. But man, he let out folks bribery, fraud, embezzlement, threatening government officials, acts of terrorism up to and including murder. People who have done all of that shit and been convicted of it are part of his greatest hits of pardons. And he's only in month 4. Can you imagine? He got 4 years. He's gonna get 3.5 years to go. If he's done all this in the first 4 to 5 months, you got 3.5 years to go. Can you imagine how much fun we're going to have? By the time he is done, there may not be anybody in jail. I mean, this guy is getting busy, getting big drug dealers and shit, getting busy. Is this what you voted for? That's what we're asking, because this man is letting people out, whether you like it or not. That would be viewed. Tap the screen. Come on now. Pay. I thought you said pray for pardons. It says pay for pardons. Yeah. If you got money, certainly if you got some celebrity status and you want to go around well known, like somebody who's really well known, all good shit about Trump, yeah, your chances of getting a pardon are pretty damn high. When he was selling, let's call it what it is, when he was selling assets to himself, where you could pay a certain amount of money to have dinner with him. We covered it here. We covered it on lives. You've probably seen it all over social media. Buy his crypto, buy a certain amount of crypto. You can sit down and have dinner with him. And he ain't the only politician that does this shit. Let me make it clear. I don't want to make it sound like Trump is the only one that does this, but he's doing it so damn fast and often that he's ahead of the pack. But when you are letting people pay to have private dinners with you and shit, you think they're just sitting around eating shrimp and lobster? You don't think they are recommending or asking for shit they want for those huge sums of money? Well, it turns out one of them individuals that paid to have dinner with Trump, I think gave $1 million or something like that, $1 million for a plate. It was a mom, got someone pardoned. Someone that went to one of those dinners is directly related to somebody who got pardoned. I think it was those 2 celebrities. I'm not for sure who it was, but somebody paid $1 million to have a plate of dinner with Trump, and boom, somebody close to them has received a pardon. Paying for assets. We talked about this before, is that these people are not paying all this money for nothing, just to be near you or just to don't. I don't think Elon Musk was doing that. You don't get $350 million just to hang out with a dude and be over Doge. What the fuck is that? Tap the screen. Having a hard time getting to 10,000. Make that happen. Looking in the comments. We're just having a conversation here, taking a few questions here, trying to make the program better. Oh, wow. Mr. Greenland. Good evening or good afternoon. Are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. How you guys feeling now that Trump is not talking about taking over your country anymore?
He will say it again.
You think he's going to come back to taking over? You think he's going to come back to because you're in Greenland, for folks who don't realize he's in Greenland. So you think he's going to come back to talking about this again?
Of course. Of course, he's going to say it again. He's an
Well,
asshole.
well, I mean, is there anybody in your country that thinks it might be better off for your nation if you became a territory of the United States?
One person.
Just one, huh? I mean, you would get infinite military protection. Do you guys already go under the US dollar or are you under the EU?
We have a Danish currency. That's
Okay. Danish
uh,
currency.
yeah.
But I mean, you've always viewed the United States as friendly, right?
We did not, but we are very considering what America is now because of Trump.
But you gotta
Uh,
wait. You gotta define that. When you say considering what America is now because of Trump, I have to ask the obvious question: what is America now, in your opinion?
okay, look back in history. What has Nazi done in Germany? They had Gestapo, and in America you have ICE. You're Gestapo right now,
Mhm.
and it's getting worse.
So you see America as having similarities to 1930s Germany right now.
Yeah, definitely. I've been saying it for a couple of years now.
Wow. Give me what's making you make such a correlation? I mean, what similarities do you see from the Gestapo, who all sorts of historical atrocities, to ICE, immigration customs official? What do you see enforcement rather? What do you see in where are the similarities?
Yeah, ICE enforcers, they don't have any form of repercussions if they take anyone by wrong. Even they don't really have to follow any law if they take someone.
Well, to correct you, they kind of do, but it is minimal. I mean, at this point, if they break the law, I mean, because if ICE breaks the law in America, it's going to be a federal law. And with Trump as president, yeah, I want to disagree with you somewhat, but it's going to have to be pretty egregious for Trump to say, yeah, you can go ahead and prosecute that person. So, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. If you're ICE,
But
you can kind of get.
to enforce any law financially, and if he stops any prosecutor or judge to be paid, nobody can stop him. You're gonna have a dictatorship in the.
How are you guys? You guys really pay attention to what's going on in the United States. I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, the average American don't know shit about Greenland, might not even know where to point to it on a map, other than it being a exceptionally disproportionately large landmass because of how maps are drawn. But right down to ice and all of that stuff. I mean, is our news being broadcast there real heavily?
Not heavily, but we get your news through the Danish news system, and if our news system every 80 years, it's the world forgets how war is so bad for everybody, but every huge country is preparing for it.
Hmm. Well, so let me ask you to you this way, because we only supposed to have Trump for 3.5 more years. Do you think the relationship between America and Greenland would mend immediately once Trump is gone? And do you think there's any permanent damage, or is this something that is just suspended while Trump is in power?
It's a very. I think Trump has made sure to let us see the Republican sides of Americans are so ignorant and do not care about anyone else in the world. So we gotta think about it, I think. But if we're gonna do business, we are still open to business, but not with an asshole.
Well, I do like the fact that you open by saying Trump has let you see what the Republican side is like. Because normally, if we do something, folks around the world say America does that. You guys seem to realize it's not America, it's just one party. So there is some hope, I suppose, for the Democrat Party in your eyes.
Yeah, I've been telling you, your liberals are your extreme right wing, left wing politicians, and our extreme right wing politicians are left on your left side of your liberals.
Wow. Yeah, America is a right wing country. Even yeah, our example in this country of what it is to be left, the Bernie Sanders, the AOC's, Elizabeth Warrens, they would be right wingers in Europe. I've heard that many times over, and that America's fairly far to the right. That yeah, our left wingers in this country are considered right wingers in other places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, when it comes to religion and shit like that, and our pro-life stance, I mean, I guess we are kind of far to the right from that aspect, though. But but you do see there's hope then. So you're saying the Republican Party, at the end of the day, there's hope, but you do expect Trump to try to come back to his stance on taking over Greenland.
Yeah, I think it's any unpopular the way I don't know how to say it. If we see it as unpopular ways of speaking, he would do it. I
Now,
think for him, any bad news is still good news for him.
now and I mean, I don't want to disrespect your nation or your people, but if we want, you can't stop us from taking over your country. So I'm going to ask you, have you guys done anything under the at least expectation or maybe prediction that Trump may follow through on this? Have you guys tried to beef up defenses or anything? I mean, you really can't stop America, and we have bases already there. But have you done anything?
No, we are. Our politicians have been talking to other countries in NATO, and the Danish nation has been talking to the rest of NATO countries in Europe. Otherwise, we don't have any other choice, just to wait and see. Wow. If America wants to take Greenland, they will take it. We cannot stop it, but we would still fight, even if we're going to lose.
What's the mood? Is the mood that this guy is just an asshole, or are you genuinely concerned? Like in America during the whole Soviet Union Cold War, we used to hide under desks in schools and things like that just in case there was a nuclear attack. We actually were concerned something really may happen, or like recently Maui, after Kim Jong-un of North Korea threatened to bomb, not Maui, what is the country? What is the little island? It wasn't Maui. It's one of our territories out in the Pacific. It's not Maui. It's actually west of Hawaii. But they were concerned this was really going to happen. Is there any concern? Guam is what I'm thinking about. Is there any concern that you actually may be victimized by America? I mean, or is it just we think he's an asshole and it is kind of like that?
I think if Trump decides to invade Greenland, he doesn't need that much military. One ship blockading the South Greenland, that would do it.
Wow.
If he put military in every town, that would make it.
Would you fight? Would you fight back? I mean, you see the Ukraine is fighting back with Russia, even though they're overpowered, but they're fighting back to their last man, seems like. Would you fight, or would you bow down like Poland in World War II? Or France, better yet?
Yeah, I think we would fight until we cannot more. We cannot do any more. And we are not that many, so maybe 200 men would fight.
Ooh. Damn, that's it?
Yeah.
Damn. 200?
But if we want to fight, but it would be not like a military force, it would be a sabotage.
Wait, with sabotage, what are you talking about?
Sinking ships.
Oh. Kind of like guerrilla warfare, like Vietnam almost?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you could change a few hearts and minds. There's a lot of Americans that would not be down with that, so it would be a very unpopular acquisition even in this country because a lot of
Yeah,
Americans would not favor it.
but
So,
that's for sure. NATO would side on Greenlandic side if Trump attacks Greenland. That means Canada will help Greenland. That means Europe will help Greenland. Only not Greenland, rest of the world, many places would side on Greenlandic side. That's a
well,
guarantee.
yeah, but a lot of people sided against what Adolf was doing too, but they didn't jump in and help. America, for one, did not like what Hitler was doing in the early part of World War II, but we didn't do anything. So siding with you don't mean a damn thing if you're just sitting back as a spectator. So you should don't be concerned with who would side with you. Be more concerned with who's going to jump in and help. Giving me thoughts and prayers after my kid is lost in school don't bring my kid back. So
Yeah, but
siding don't really mean much.
yeah, but if we are talking about military power, France, Germany, with nuclear powers, would be helping Greenland.
You think so? Wow. So you think that in defense of Greenland, because you are an ally, you are NATO. You think in defense of Greenland, France and Germany would step up and kind of like the Chihuahua against the pit bull and bark back at Trump?
Yep, and I'm pretty much sure more than 60% of US would try to do something with Greenland.
Wow. That's interesting. I mean, like I said, it would be widespread protest in this country because a lot of Americans do not believe we should be doing any damn thing to Greenland. But it wouldn't be the first time a country ignored its citizens and went to war anyway. But Mr. Greenland, I gotta move it on. What time is it over there?
1931.
Seven. Oh, is it dark already?
No, it's not. It doesn't get dark anymore.
Oh shit! So you got permanent? So you got the night sun right now?
Yeah, but in our town, it hides behind the mountains, but the light doesn't go off.
I would love to just see that for once. To be up at 2 a.m. and it's light outside. I would love to just see that once, but I can only imagine how tired and sleepy I would get. That just, I mean, I don't know if my biological clock could ever adjust to that. That's got to be crazy.
Oh, but you should come and see. But before I go, I would love to say, it must be embarrassing to be an American now because of Trump. Trump is a laughing stock all over the world. You do not get in your news.
I was told once we got rid of Biden, we finally had a president that the world respects and that they were laughing at Biden. That's what MAGA says.
That's MAGA always wrong.
Yeah. I'm aware that a lot of countries have particularly our allies, because Trump has criticized everybody around the world and said so many awful things about so many people. I think it's probably just like you're saying, but MAGA has a different opinion. But Mr. Greenland,
we would say, I'm sorry, we do not have a plane to give you.
you really are tuned in over there. That was bad. You're talking about the president or prime minister of South Africa telling them that. That's our guy. That's who we voted in. Mr. Greenland, I got to move it on, but my door's always open to you. Thank you, man.
Okay, all right.
Appreciate it. Good talk. I like speaking in. We do get some international callers every now and then. But when I ask you tap the screen, get your board up to 20,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Tap the screen. Kind of a simple live today. Just taking, for the most part, questions. You can feel free to ask the host. Political questions. I'm kind of open because I want to continue to deliver an entertaining platform, an entertaining program. So if there's, complaints, compliments, suggestions, feel free to state that. But I am also asking the question is, are you a happy voter? Is this what you voted for? He's securing the border, but he's also opening up the prisons and letting people out like crazy. Got money, celebrity status, and influence. You can get out no matter what. We're talking folks being pardoned that have been convicted of bribery, fraud, embezzlement, threatening government officials, acts of terrorism, murder. I mean, anybody. It's a Big Tent camp under the MAGA umbrella. If you got the right finances, you know how to talk, you know how to promote Trump, you know how to speak favorable of the guy, good chance of getting out. I voted for some of what's going on, says Dustin. Am I seeing cracks in the foundation? What do you mean some? You're MAGA, damn it. I want to hear all. You voted for some. What is that supposed to mean? Tap the screen. What percent of the population had what percent of all the money in the 1950s and 1960s compared to now when we had a marginal tax rate in the 1990s? Well, the lower half of the population had more money in the 1950s and 1960s because the taxes on the wealthy were stronger. And for a time, because you're talking about in the baby boomer generation where they were actually coming after World War II, getting jobs, and the worker protections were getting stronger. It was better for the working man back then. How do you call in? Johnny, what does that say? I'm only on TikTok right now. I only got 3 devices, so I'm only on TikTok right now. And actually, one of them just went down because it's telling me the damn phone is overheating in the mirror, in the dashboard. So my YouTube horizontal, my iPhone just overheated. So we'll give it a minute. Otherwise, I may have to move it into the makeshift studio. But yeah, calling in is on TikTok. Or normally when we're on Clap or Instagram, if you're on any of those programs, you can actually call in and talk live. YouTube doesn't allow it. So if I could, I'd take callers on YouTube, but it doesn't allow it on YouTube. I got to give this damn iPhone a minute to cool down. Looking in the comments, I'm actually independent, and I just felt Trump is closest to what I wanted. Some reason I voted for Obama. Fair enough. Taco, says Rosie. Finally a nickname that may be sticking with President Trump, who just happens to be the king of nicknames. Taco stands for, what is it? Trump always caves, something like that. What are the acronyms for Taco? Somebody stated in the comments. Caves on the tariffs. I forgot what the actual acronyms are, but Taco means Trump always chickens out. There we go. Trump always chickens out. And a reporter asked him that to his face, like, how do you feel that they call your ass a taco? He called it a nasty question, as always. Trump don't like to hear reporters speak critical of him, so he didn't like it. But Taco was popping up all over left-wing sites. It was on The View today. They're gonna be calling that man Taco. And by the way, chickening out on the tariffs is not the only place he's doing it. Putin is making him chicken out as well. He don't kind of a la President Obama drawing a red line in the sand for Syria. Trump has now done that with Vladimir Putin, giving Putin 2 weeks to stop in regards to the attack on the Ukraine. By way of yes or no in the comments, how many folks think that Putin is going to take Trump's threat seriously and stop what looks like a winning battle in the Ukraine? How many folks think that Putin is going to stop his attack on, by way of yes or no in the comments? Is there anybody that believes he's going to do that? I mean, Putin, what Trump has done is essentially handicap the Ukraine by taking office, originally blaming the Ukraine for the war, and no longer providing any assistance to the Ukraine. So he kind of stepped in the presidency, tied the Ukrainians' hands behind their back, and allowed Russia to beat the shit out of them. And Trump, trying to be some sort of referee, tried to wave the fight off and say, this guy is done. And Putin is like, no, I want to keep hitting him. So Trump is the referee in the ring where he has no control. No control at all. So the idea that, well, Biden, the world was laughing at Biden and taking advantage and everything was, no, it's looking like it's happening under Trump. It's looking like it's happening under Trump because Benjamin Netanyahu is also involved in the largest incursion into Gaza in history. Most of Gaza now is becoming occupied by the Israelis. They ain't giving that back. They're taking their land from them. So under Trump's watch, let's call it what it is, because we would damn sure bring this up if it happened under Biden. Under Trump's watch, 2 nations have gotten more powerful and more stronger, and that would be Israel and the Russians. Israel and the Russians. Now, it was happening under Biden too, but it's happening exponentially under Trump because Trump decided to take a hands-off approach to it. So we'll see. Looking in the comments, bottom line is I don't care what happens in Ukraine. They don't want peace, then fight it out. Bottom line. Well, here's the problem, no reply. If we just say fuck it, let the Ukraine fall, everyone in the region, with the exception of MAGA for some reason, who has been speaking favorably of Russia, but in Tucker Carlson going over there and saying it's a great vacation spot or whatever the hell he said, everybody else, with the exception of MAGA, I'm talking liberals, independents, and allies around the world, everybody else believes that Russia will not stop at the Ukraine. Trump and MAGA are the only ones that believe that he only wants to stop the Ukraine from joining NATO, and the Ukraine somehow sparked the war to begin with. They're the only ones that believe that. Everybody else sees it differently. So, in regards to your comment, just let the Ukraine fall, or you don't care. If Russia does do what everybody else believes, with the exception of MAGA, then you're going to be dealing with, what is it, Article 5 or whatever it's called, Article 25, where an attack against one is an attack against all, and then we have to act. Now, the problem is, and I'll give you, once again in the comments, percentage-wise, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it absolutely is likely to happen and Trump is likely to step in and get involved. 0 being he ain't going to do shit. If Russia attacks a NATO nation, do you believe that Trump will step in and do our duty, which is join in with NATO to protect and fight against Trump? Or perhaps blame that nation somehow for being responsible for the war that they're being bestowed upon? Because he's blaming the Ukraine. He's blaming the Ukraine for what happened to them. Looking in the comments. So, like I said, everybody else believes that Russia's not going to stop at the Ukraine. But if Trump ain't going to jump in, it don't matter. They could go on and go to Romania or Finland or Poland. If you ain't going to jump in, it don't matter. None of our business, says Gen X. Then why the hell have NATO to begin with? Why, let me just say this before I go to the next caller, hopefully tap the screen, get the likes up to about 25,000. Here's the problem. If we look at NATO as none of our business, and we kind of treat the contract we have with NATO, the alliance, the treaty with NATO, as if it's irrelevant almost, why would anybody make deals with us in the future? Trump is showing the world, at least to some degree, that America cannot be trusted. That if you make a treaty with America or get into some sort of an agreement with America, when it's time to call up that agreement, America may not do its part. Paris Accord, NAFTA, obviously we're talking about NATO. The Iran deal was another. I mean, Trump came along and unilaterally proved that you can't trust us anymore, which is why now he is criticizing and threatening Iran that if they don't come to the table and make some sort of deal that prevents them from getting a nuclear weapon, we may bomb them. When he is the reason the deal we had in place was discarded. Obama had a deal in place with Iran. Trump came along, said it's a bullshit deal. We're no longer going to honor it. So, question becomes simple. Why would Iran make a deal with Trump when Trump has shown that the next president after him could just come along and say it's a stupid deal, we're not honoring it anymore? Trump has shown them that any deal you make with the United States is only as good as the guy in the White House. Why would you make any future deals with America? Why would anyone enter any deals with America after what Trump did? And America has shown itself that we're not going to rein in a president that breaks those deals. One guy got elected and just said, all of these deals we did in the past, fuck them. One dude did that, and the rest of the country said, okay, sounds good. Let me go back to the box. Continuing on, like I said, we're taking questions, kind of a free-for-all here. Black Wing Zero. Last time America was all about it's their problem, it's not ours. The Japanese bombed Hawaii. Yep, World War II.
If Ukraine fall, I want you to know that you dumbass Trump supporters with y'all damn redneck having asses, y'all damn American having ass drinking ass beer, And if Ukraine falls, Poland's next. You know what happens if they attack Poland? You know what happens when they attack Poland? World War III. And we just
wait a minute though.
We just showed the European damn nations that we don't give a fuck about them. And guess what? We will not basically get after the war. We will be fucked.
But wait a minute. What about the notion that if they do attack Poland, and Trump decides for some reason Poland is the reason they got attacked, they were out of hand and they deserved it.
If they do attack Poland, no matter if basically Trump is to support them or not, boots are on the ground. Boots are on the ground. I'm literally going like this. That means basically a bunch of 18-year-olds is going to lose their life for something that basically could have been prevented by just doing what we agreed upon. I'm literally saying this. Y'all saying, oh, dude is going like, oh, he's going to be tripping. Oh, he voted blue. Dude, I am a no party. Please, there are 375 parties in this fucking country. You only know 2, Pepsi and Coke. Which one?
And real quick, hold on, before we continue, Successful MD, thank you for letting me know. I must have hit the mute button on YouTube horizontal, but you do believe then, if Russia attacks, hold on, you do believe if Russia attacks Poland, Trump, who would be Trump as the president, would adhere to NATO, to Article 5 or whatever, and he would actually get involved.
Even if he doesn't support, it's no matter. It's no matter about that. Everything. Handsome liberal, I ain't never lied to you. Anything I look up is damn near factual. You have looked up my stuff. If we lose the Budapest Memorandum to Ukraine, knowing the fact we need their grain, we need their lithium, we need their cobalt, we need their workforce. And we need their trades to other countries. That can be an easy port and an easy ally we have gained. When Obama was faced with a whole nother problem, you know him and the former Ukrainian president did? Got 2 big-ass hot dogs from that damn hot dog shop. Then he rolled up his sleeves and went on to say and played him 21. That's how we got Czechoslovakia to sign a peaceman deal. That's how we got basically Slovenia to do a military deal. That's how we got basically Poland to further the allies. Well, I'm frustrated at the fact that y'all don't know what the Budapest Memorandum is. If y'all don't know what the Budapest Memorandum is, I think you need to shut the fuck up about Ukraine and go read Hop on Pop. Finish that with your damn child, because most of y'all can't read past the 5th grade level with your dumb ass.
So how do you, I guess just to correct this or get clarity here, why do you think there is so many Trump supporters, so much of MAGA that really do feel like what's happening in that region should be left up to them?
Ain't these the same MAGAs that was freezing to death and the man canceled on them? Ain't these the same MAGA that was walking around with no mask on? Ain't these the same MAGAs that still say vaccines? Here's the vaccine war, Operation Warp Speed, newsflash, it was your damn president's idea, because he was going through COVID and he did not step down and let Mike Pence run. They advised him to step down because, and I quote, this man said his health is bad, he's already hospitalized, he might need to step down while we basically do the election. They even said he can run back for president. I'm still wondering basically about this, right? When it came down to, you do realize COVID is now a new variant now. There's a new variant now.
Well, from what I hear, Kennedy is not going to be working on any future booster shots.
Kennedy believes in pantyhose that can cure cancer. I'm going like this. That's who y'all put against. No, Linda McMahon is who y'all put against. Okay, so basically we gonna learn American history from Hulk Hogan's bitch ass.
Is he really doing?
We gonna read memoirs of the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. What the fuck?
Miss Elizabeth was a cutie though.
Hey, maybe the Undertaker got his autobiography out yet, because I've been trying to wait for that read.
Miss Elizabeth may she rest her soul. Miss Elizabeth was a cutie though. She was a cutie. What she?
Best friend. You need to get your bitch. You need to get her. You need to get her.
Wasn't she like Macho Man's girlfriend or something like that?
And she was Linda McMahon's best friend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nobody knows that. No, here's the thing though. The reason that Miss Elizabeth was basically the Queen Diva, because guess what? Her and her are sorority sisters for some reason. The problem I'm having with Donald Trump and basically his policies, I'm still wondering how another black man is in charge of damn Section 8.
Well, speaking of Section 8,
and this what makes it worse. The last time we had a doctor, this time we have a former NFL star. What the fuck is this? Mind you. Can I just ask this question? What is damn Herschel Walker doing as the damn ambassador of the Bahamas?
It's a favor. I mean, you gotta understand. They put
and he's gonna make the Bahamas. You gonna put that dumbass man?
But they gave. Hold on. They gave Pete Buttigieg a position. What was Pete Buttigieg? Transportation or some shit like that. I mean, that's just a favor.
He did a hell of a job of it. He did a hell of a job as transportation. And guess what? This is too soon to make up. Who was your transportation advisor? I really want to know this.
You think Pete Buttigieg did a hell of a job?
Here's the thing. He didn't do better than basically Obama's basic transportation advisor. Because guess what? We basically made a trade with Canada to make more imports coming from Alaska in a fishing port. This is too stupid to make up. I'm going like this when it comes down to Trump supporters. You were literally wearing shitty ass drawers, putting tampons on your ear, wearing ridiculous ass hats, basically right behind you, still can't tell me when America was great for black women or black men. And literally basically this, telling black people the reason that they vote Democrat is because basically, guess what? We come from single mother households, we're ill-educated, we got tattoos on our forehead, but you still want us to vote your way.
Who said that? Who said something like that?
No, you never heard of stop playing the victim? You never heard of black on black crime?
I've heard of that, but you said tattoos on their forehead. I ain't heard no shit like that.
Bill O'Reilly, look it up. Okay. Said it with Donald Trump when he was running in 2016. Look it up.
Well, let me say this. Hold on. You're flattening the zone. Hold on. Now, in regard, there's a passionate comment pushing back on you. Gen X says this dude is just mad because you can't buy junk food and soda on the EBT card. How do you respond to that?
I work for the state, dude. And that's what another thing is. Most black people are not on EBT on food stamps. I live in a condo, my guy. I can't buy a condo on Section 8. I live with my wife. I can't be on Section 8 if basically I'm in a condo.
Fair enough.
So I'm literally going like this. Another thing is, I work for the state, so I'm mostly at home. Guess what? Most of y'all always forget y'all always seem to basically put the example with the projects, but never put the example for the trailer parks, which y'all want to be in. We don't choose to be in the projects, but y'all choose to be in the trailer park.
So how do you think the guy's doing though? I mean, the price of gas is at least under control. The price of groceries is not outrageous.
Okay.
I mean, how do you think he's doing so far?
Here's the thing though, we lost 5 allies. We basically on the verge of losing South Africa. We literally basically, this is too soon to make up when it comes down to National Black History Museum. Oh, that's on bit over and dead. They're trying to close down PBS. They literally 7 planes crashed into each other. I ain't never seen that in my life. I'm going like this. And if any of y'all got pennies, y'all might want to throw them away now because he eliminated that currency. And most Trump supporters, y'all acting like y'all want small government. You don't even know who your congressman is.
Ooh. Well, getting rid of the penny is actually a good thing because it costs more money to make it than it's worth.
Mind you, Harrison Liberal, I live in Oak, California, District 12 and District 7. My congressman is U.S. Representative Latifah James, and basically she plays former District 12 and District 7 Representative Barbara Lee because she's now my mayor. So I'm literally going like this. How would I know that if I didn't know my small government? I do this for a living. I talk to people to get, here's the thing, we just got a homeless village closed because guess what? We had Gavin Newsom fund us to basically close at least 3 homeless shelters. 3 basically damn homeless villages. 3 basically prostitution rings in East 12th and East 16th. I'm going like this. How would I know this if I didn't talk to my councilman, my congressman, my alderman, my mayor, my former mayor, Shingai Mutao, or basically the former mayor, Michelle Kwan, which still has a little political power. I'm going like this though. When it here's the people basically say, oh, he comes from California. No. Here's the thing, though. You need California because we are a federal bank.
Yeah,
with all your banks like Bank of America and Wells Fargo. We basically are Silicon Valley, and also most of your technology and your food comes through us. There's no red state that's better than California. We're the only state that can survive on its own.
But a lot of your people leaving because it's misran, apparently.
The reason that basically people leaving, let me clear that up right quick. The reason that people leaving because guess why? Even though San Francisco and Oakland and Los Angeles raised up their minimum wage to $15, $16, and $18 an hour, it's still basically the slum wars. Since Trump took off the renter's cap, many people are getting kicked out of the houses because they can't afford rent. They can charge. Here's the thing: for my little ass condo, I'm paying $1,700 for a no bedroom. People are getting priced out. That's what the reason is. For people that saying that homelessness is started from addiction and drug abuse, no, it's not. It's basically people that's either getting away from basically domestic violence relationships or, my personal favorite, slumlords evicting on false pretenses of people that are working class citizens. They just raised the rent about, I don't know, 3 times as much as basically the house is actually worth.
Wow.
To basically drive up the prices and gentrify the area, which is close to basically Lake Merritt or the San Francisco Bay. And
Right.
like you gotta realize, if you can see a body of water right next to your basically house, that's considered as waterfront property in California.
Yeah. Cali ain't no joke, but I gotta move it on, Black Wing. You do live in one of the most expensive places. I love coming out there, but yeah, it ain't cheap to live there. Black Wing, thank you. All right, moving on with the show. By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy on up to about 40,000. We can certainly make that happen. Over 300 of you in here. Show your boy some love. This is uncensored dialogue as always. If you enjoy uncensored communication from all sides of the damn hour, we are MAGA friendly, but liberals are welcome as well, as you might see. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. If you enjoy this type of dialogue, show your boy some love. Give me a follow on TikTok. Feel free to sub on YouTube. Everyone I know in Oakland, we all got rich together. This caller is a faked oppressed majority. What is an oppressed majority? How is he the majority? I grew up hearing it's not Trump. It's the last 30 years, and it's definitely real estate. They need to put a cap on how many properties people can own and on the corporations owning residential houses. You know something? I'll just say this, and I'm not a resident of California, never been a resident of California, but I'm a frequent visitor there, and I'll tell you this. When you look at other big cities in America, heavily populated cities, the people tend to live on top of each other. You go to Chicago, there's multiple 2-3 story buildings, things like that. You go to New York, is even more skyscrapers everywhere. California has zoning problems where you can only build structures that are 1-story high houses. So that means that, because a building can take the same footprint as a house, but a building can have a lot more people living in it, whereas a house is generally 1 or 2 families or something like that. So because they have zoning issues and they don't allow you to build multi-level structures, you're not going to have as much housing for all the people that live out there. Less housing when there's a high demand means the price of shit's going to be super expensive. California needs more apartment buildings. They need more structures that are taller. They should have a lot more of that out there. There would be more housing available, and it would probably bring rent down somewhat. That's my humble opinion. Because when you go to other cities, Philadelphia, D.C., and things like that, there are far more structures that are taller. California has a huge population, and it's mostly, low-level properties. It's mostly low. There's not enough housing for the people that are out there. You need to build taller shit and make some of them people live on top of each other, like they do in other big cities. And less regulations is exactly the solution to that. Real talk. I agree with that. They're all moving to Florida and raising our shit up. Yeah. That could happen. And they're going to turn it purple before you know it, because they don't just leave and go to red states. They bring their politics with them, which is why Georgia, for the first time in my life, had 2 Democrat senators when Biden got elected. That was unusual to flip Georgia blue. Mexico has the highest rated labor force in the world. And yes, I said rated. Obvious, China is cheaper. Don't know what you mean by that. Tap the screen. Let me go back to the next caller. Taking questions. Just want to make a more entertaining program. This is kind of an open forum. I'm asking, are you a happy voter, though? Are you kind of happy with Trump? Is this what you voted for? The economy, gas prices, pardons. Are you happy with what you're seeing so far? Gen X, fuck around and find out. Good evening, Gen X.
What's going on, Mr. Tim?
Shit, none at all. Just getting off work. Figured I'd get on here and chat to you fine folks. What's up with all these pardons?
I don't know. It sounds like if you give another one, your homeboy that was just on going to have a heart attack.
Well, the man is letting people out. I thought he was a law and order president.
But he wasn't with Larry Hoover. First of all, Larry Hoover's 74 years old.
He's a murderer. He's a convicted murderer. He's a convicted.
Second of all, they ain't letting him out, Tim. They commuted his sentence. What that means is they take him out of federal custody and they put him in the Illinois state system. He's got over 200 years left to serve in Illinois. What does that accomplish? Well, for one, it puts him closer to his family. He is in a hellhole right now in ADX Florence, which is fucking torture.
You're trying to wait, hold on. You're trying to tell me that we're worried about a guy who has a 200-year sentence, the quality of life for him on the inside. He's a murderer, Gen X. He murdered people.
That's not what I said. What I said was that commuting his federal sentence doesn't free him. It puts him back in Illinois custody. And if you look at the financials of it, it saves the feds money to house him.
That ain't what I said. I'm going by what you talked about. You said it's a hellhole. Putting him in Illinois puts him closer to his family. Since when do we give a shit about any of that when it's a murderer? We want to make sure the murderer is close to his family and not living in a hellhole. When did that start?
And it's funny, you guys sure care about them when they're illegals.
And you don't. And you don't.
Then you care about them.
And you don't.
You care about them when they're American citizens.
So
funny how that works, brother.
So you're okay with sending a person to an El Salvador prison that hasn't committed any crimes in El Salvador because he got tattoos on his knuckles, but an actual murderer, you want to make sure he can see his mom.
If they ain't from the country, I don't care if they send them to fucking Beirut.
You don't see the hypocrisy in this at all, though?
No, not at all.
Oh, my God.
Not even a little, my friend.
Really?
The other thing I wanted to hit you with was the whole Ukraine thing that dude lost his fucking mind on.
Okay.
First of all, since the late 90s, over the last couple decades, NATO has done nothing but encroach on Russian borders. Now, we can debate that, and people can say, no. Yeah, they have. They've encroached on their borders.
How?
With all those Soviet forward nations, or those ex-Soviet nations that are now in NATO, that they specifically told Russia when the USSR dissolved that they would not encroach on Russian borders, up to and including Ukraine. Ukraine was part of the Budapest memorandum, or Budapest memorandum. That's what that whole thing was about. And all they've done is encroach on their borders.
You're talking about Russia taking over Georgia in 2008, taking over Crimea in 2014, and now trying to take over the whole damn country of the Ukraine starting in 2022, I believe it is. But you're going to say that they're the victim?
Well, you're not telling the whole story with Crimea.
What am I missing?
You're saying that they took over. Crimea voted to become Russians, and the Ukrainians fucking forbid it. The Crimeans wanted to be Russians. They wanted to be under Russian rule. They all speak Russian.
Doesn't matter. You're trying to tell me that if the citizens of Texas wanted to be Mexico, because many of them speak Mexico, I can't even say it right. You're telling me if the citizens of Texas wanted to become part of Mexico, because many of them speak Spanish, that should be able to happen?
No. See, that's not a fair question.
How?
You got to restructure the question. Now, if everybody in Mexico or in Texas spoke Mexican fluently, barely any English, Mexican industries were in Texas, then yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't, you can't separate from your country without your government's permission just because you like the country that you want to become part of. Or because, look, when we take over countries, of course, when you take over a country, most of the people in that area are going to still have a lot in common with the country they used to be part of, which is why a lot of America still has a hell of a lot of Hispanic culture. But that don't mean they can just say, well, I want to go back and I want our part to go back to Mexico. You can't just give Crimea back to Russia because some people in the country speak Russian.
What was going on during the Crimean crisis? Ukraine was in crisis. They were on the verge of civil war. They didn't have a president, or they had just elected Zelensky or getting ready to elect him. Crimea didn't want any part of that. They wanted sovereignty. They wanted stability.
That ain't how it works, though. You cannot. If you want sovereignty, it has to go through the government. I mean, just like in this country, when you got liberals in power, a hell of a lot of Republican states are like, we want to be, we want to secede. We want sovereignty. You can't do it like that. You don't break off from the government.
You said it don't work that way? It worked that way that time.
Yeah, it worked that way during the Civil War, too. You're seeing how that turned out. But you honestly think that Russia is a victim in all of this?
No, I don't. I never said that. I never said Russia's a victim.
That's what I'm hearing.
NATO's imposing their will through the Ukraine.
How?
And all this shit that they're gonna take the Ukraine, then they're gonna take Poland. That dude's out of his fucking mind. You understand that Poland has one of the most powerful militaries today in Europe?
So
their military technology is fucking outrageously good.
So you don't believe that if Russia beats the Ukraine, they're going to continue on with any other country?
Not a chance.
But yet all the countries that are in, go ahead.
Done.
Yeah, but yet all the countries on the ground in the region all disagree with you. Every country over there believes that Russia is going to go beyond.
Belarus don't disagree.
Belarus is damn near part of Russia. They're an ally.
You just drew a. You just made it black or white. It's not black or white. There's some gray in there.
Give me another country other than Belarus. Because right now Russia's using Belarus as territory to launch attacks on the Ukraine. They're that close. Give me another country in that region other than Belarus that don't think Trump is going to continue attacking people.
I would be surprised if any of them think that. Honestly, think that.
They're coming
Latvia
out.
Doesn't think that.
Well,
Latvia doesn't think that.
Gen X, they're coming out and saying it. Some of these countries are on record saying that they fear that Russia is trying to reestablish the Soviet Union. They're actually saying it publicly.
Maybe the neo-Nazis do. Maybe, possibly.
What the hell does that got to do with this? What are you talking about?
They're fucking dude. They're neo-fucking liberals over there. They're the ones that don't agree with the shit.
What is a neoliberal? What the hell is that? Define that. What is a neoliberal?
Pretty close to a Nazi socialist.
Oh my God! You really think the Nazis have things in common with the modern day liberals in this country?
I don't. Well, they're not far off.
So you think the Nazis in this country are voting for Kamala Harris?
They did.
Oh my! Why would a Nazi vote for Kamala Harris?
Because she's a Nazi too, my friend.
My heart goes out to you. There's no way. Black Nazis, okay, that's different. That's a punchline. A bunch of black Nazis walk into a bar. I've never heard that before. Really? Kamala Harris, Hi-O Harris. Okay, we learned something. You're trolling, right?
Yep.
Okay. How about to put an armband on Kamala Harris in your honor? That was funny. Okay.
I do believe that NATO has overstepped its boundaries because NATO was established for protection against the USSR. When the USSR dissolved, there was really no need for NATO anymore. And there still isn't. America puts more money into NATO than a lot of NATO members combined.
If NATO dissolved and America, became a nationalist country that focuses only on itself, we would be a lot poorer. The reason why we're so wealthy and all of this shit is because we do exploit we do get involved in everybody's business and we take our little cut out of all kinds of transactions and deals. If we do what Trump is saying, only focus on America and stop getting involved in overseas events, you're just going to open up the door to countries like China or Russia or Iran or somebody else to do what we have done, and they're going to become the superpower. So I agree with you that maybe we need to get out of some of these events, but at the same time, we all like the lifestyle we're living, and it's because of that stuff.
So, in other words, do as we say and not as we do?
I would be more along the lines of just admit the truth, admit what we're doing. While it's not always the best thing to do, is the reason why we're able to put food on the table for our families and live a cushy life that we do. It's because of our international involvement. I mean, half of the countries south of the border that we're bitching about this invasion and them coming here, half of them countries that are coming here is because we don't fucked up their country with our involvement, how we don't exploited their people and all of that stuff. It's us messing their countries up.
Another great point. Another great point why we shouldn't even be fucking over there involved. Let Europe deal with Europe. They've survived for centuries before we came along. They'll survive centuries after we're gone.
Would you be okay with the U.S. dollar no longer being the international standard?
I don't know that that's possible.
It is if you do what you're talking about.
No, I wouldn't be all right with that, but I don't know that that's possible. I don't think it's possible.
If we take a back seat and step back, those other countries like China are going to step up and do everything they can. I mean, China's buying half of Africa right now. They would love to do it in Europe. I mean, if we take a step back, somebody's going to fill that void, and they're not just going to leave that like that.
I didn't say we shouldn't be involved with the economics, world economics, global economics. What I'm saying is we shouldn't push our military fucking will. We shouldn't back NATO to push their military will against Russia. I don't think it's wise. I think it's dumb. I think they're playing with fire, and I really hope Trump doesn't do something fucking stupid. I really hope he doesn't do something stupid. That's a bad situation.
What about him threatening Iran? You're okay with that?
Iran's a rogue nation, so I really don't have an opinion on that, left or right. I don't know. I'm going to sit back and just watch that. Russia ain't fucking around.
What do you
Russia's
mean?
a fuck around and find out country.
What do you mean by Iran is a rogue nation?
They're a rogue nation. They fucking back terrorist organizations. They back Hezbollah. They back Hamas. They sink millions and millions of dollars into terrorist organizations that
What do you
want
think?
to do nothing but destroy Israel and the Western world.
Gen X,
they don't like it.
Gen X, what do you think we do? I mean, Trump, the leader of Syria, before Trump became president, we had like a $10 million bounty on his head. He was a very highly wanted terrorist. Trump's on TV shaking his hand now. What do you think we do? I mean, huh?
The exact same thing.
Right.
The exact same thing. And I'm not claiming it's right, Tim. I won't ever say it's right.
Okay. All right.
But
So,
at some point, we got to jump off the bandwagon and man, let them fucking sort that shit out. Let them figure it out.
you're not going to jump off the bandwagon while you're on TV. You're not going to jump off the bandwagon while you're on TV bragging about how you should be able to take a jet from countries that's deeply involved in that shit. You ain't going to get that with Trump. You might get it with a leader in the future, but Trump ain't the guy. He is knee deep in that shit. He'll work with the terrorists all day, every day, if they look out for him.
Give me an example.
The jet from Qatar, that government backs Houthis and shit. That jet he's taking is a prime example. When he went to the Middle East a couple weeks ago, he was meeting with terrorists. He was meeting with the people.
So you mean to tell me if your worst enemy in this world, Tim, somebody you just don't like, you grew up with hating, drove up to you with a brand new shiny Lincoln Continental, drop tinted windows with a system, and then said, "Here, Tim, you know what? I've been thinking about this. You go ahead and take this and roll with it. I got another one."
Do I have?
Take it?
Yeah, I got an easy answer for that. It would be one thing if I'm sitting around homeless and he pull up next to me while I'm pushing the shopping cart. But if I got Trump's money where I don't need it, no, I probably wouldn't take it. Trump don't need this shit. It's just greed. He don't need any of that. He's doing it for greed.
Greed is good sometimes.
Oh my God. I gotta go.
I'm taking it. You offer me a jet, I'm taking it. If you offer me a house, I'm taking it. You offer me anything of substantial value that I can't already get, I'm going to take it. Why wouldn't I? That's just dumb.
You sound like somebody who could be bribed, if you ask me. If you on television saying, why would I turn down items of value? Well, shit, we know he can be bought. We know he don't turn down stuff.
Tim, I'm not beyond saying I could be bribed, because I could be bribed in a heartbeat.
Whatever happened to draining the swamp?
Now, sometimes you got to fight fire with fire, man.
Are we just making up shit to make this guy look good? Because he promised not to be like this.
Like I said, sometimes you got to fight fire with fire.
How about sometimes you got to actually adhere to your campaign promise? You were going to drain the swamp, not make up excuses why you need to get in the swamp.
I'd say he's done a pretty good job, or he's doing a pretty good job of draining the swamp with all these indictments coming down the pipe, closing up all these fucking overseas bullshit charities through Doge is doing a hell of a job.
He's pardoning.
They're doing a hell of a job.
He's pardoning murderers, Gen X.
He didn't pardon. He commuted. There's a difference. There's a difference.
How about this? Man. How about this? He's siding with murderers. He gave that murderer as much help as he could possibly give. Only the state has control over it now. He essentially freed him from the reins of the federal government.
He's not going free, man. That's my point. Larry Hoover's not going free. He's going to probably another maximum security facility in Illinois. If I was a gambling man, I'd say he's probably going to max in Illinois. But who knows? Maybe they'll put him in a closed security or a medium security because of his age.
What about the ones that beat up cops on January 6th? You think they should be pardoned too?
Yeah, because they were set up. We've already been over this.
How could I set you up to beat up a cop? What do I do? Control your hands like you a puppet?
Yeah, basically they did fucking control them dudes like puppets. Yep, absolutely, 100%. They had a lot of agitators in there, a lot of federal agents in there with them. That whole shit's coming to a head.
Gen X, you a grown ass man. You are responsible for your actions. Nobody should be able to agitate you to beat up a damn cop. How do you blame that on somebody else?
And that's exactly right. Nobody can agitate me to beat up a cop because I got a little bit more common sense. People are different. Not everybody's like you, and not everybody's like me. You know what I mean? You can push and provoke people to do some stupid shit.
So what are they, mentally ill?
What's that?
What are they, mentally ill?
They just don't make great decisions.
And you're gonna pardon that?
But when they were set up, absolutely.
How do you? I don't get how you were set up to beat the hell out of a cop. How does somebody set you up to make you do that?
First of all, the cops were macing them. They didn't throw the first punch. The cops were macing them, and all hell broke loose. It was I don't like to use the word riot, but it was a fucking borderline riot that day.
How about if the cops are macing you and telling you to get away from the gates, and how about just leave? Whatever happened to if you just comply, you could go home?
Several people did.
And several people
didn't even show up to J6.
But did they all comply?
Nope.
They all got pardoned.
Well, if you violate someone's rights, Tim, if you violate a blanket group's rights, then everybody gets the same resolution. Everybody. You can't pick and choose. That's not how it works.
That doesn't provide a lot of solace to the cops who got their ass beat. I gotta move it on though, Gen X. That's an interesting take, by the way. That is a very interesting take. But you know what I gotta do. Thanks for coming on.
All right, brother. Have a good day, man.
You too. Very interesting. And by the way, he's not the only one with that opinion. You know, we welcome all opinions, but he's not the only one that think like that. Interesting take. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 50,000. Infinity. Thank you for the support, Infinity. Ukrainian here, okay. Yes, there were fake elections in Crimea. I'm not speaking blindly. I have friends, relatives, and people I know there. No one voted. No one. The choice was made for them. This is in regards to my last caller saying that the people in Crimea wanted to become part of Russia. This viewer here is saying he is actually Ukrainian and can tell you that the elections they had there, the ones my caller is suggesting that were elections to become part of Russia, were fake, were orchestrated, probably perpetrated by Russia, if I'm just giving my own opinion of it. He says, I have friends, relatives, and people I know. No one voted. No one. The choice was made for them. And that does happen. We do that all the time as well. Get involved in elections. Hamid Karzai, the temporary leader in Afghanistan, was an example. When America went into Afghanistan to deal with the Taliban, we ousted the leadership and put in an American-friendly leader. Once we left, they threatened to kill his ass, and he had to flee because he wasn't none but a American operative. But we put it, and that's probably what my viewers is kind of indicating in Crimea. Russia put in a Russian, a Russian friendly leader, and then you could just say, well, this is what the people want. No, this person is not. This is a Russian operative. Like Hamid Karzai was a American operative in Afghanistan. The big countries fuck with elections all the time. Like currently right now, we don't accept the leader in Venezuela. We don't believe he was a duly elected leader. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, we get involved in other elections all the time. The Clintons, if I'm correct, one of the reasons Putin is pissed off is because the Clintons got involved in trying to disturb the Russian election, being against Putin. The Clintons have a past of trying to get involved in the Russian election. Anyway, prime example that they are hypocrites. He'd bitch and complain if it were Biden and Obama. I 100% agree with that. I don't believe there's any chance in hell that Obama could be pardoning Larry Hoover without the right waiting outside in pickup trucks. Like, you let his ass out, it's over with. And now my last caller rightfully pointed out, Hoover's not going home. He still has state charges. That is true, but why would you pardon him federally? I mean, Trump pretty much showed solidarity. This is a very bad guy looking at his criminal history. Why would you show solidarity with him? No, he's not getting out, but you let him out. You just didn't have power to give him complete freedom. You gave him as much freedom as you could. Complete freedom from the federal system. Why is that? Why is that? And like I said, any liberal that done that, they would be all over that shit. Even if he wasn't getting out per the state charges. Remember, the right is also entertaining pardoning Derek Chauvin, the convicted killer of George Floyd. They're also entertaining that as well. How many of you think that might happen? Yes or no in the comments. How many of you think got to see Trump pardon Larry Hoover? We got 3.5 years of Trump. 3.5 years ago. How many of you believe that before Trump is gone, Derek Chauvin will receive a federal pardon? Yes or no in the comments? Because you already got Steve Bannon. I know, what is the Ben Shapiro has been talking about it on the internet. There's another member that's close to Trump. They're talking about doing it. Now, Trump has said he ain't going to do it, but Trump said he wasn't going to suspend the tariffs on China and did it the next day. So, but by way of yes or no, how many of you think he might give Derek Chauvin a federal pardon? Will G says, Trump, MAGA ain't shit. I'm looking for my soundboard when I read that, but I'm in the car. MAGA ain't shit. Sorry I missed a couple of your lives. Good to have you back. Thank you, Will G. I've been so invested in the NBA playoffs, especially with my Knicks. It's win or die. Hopefully the Knicks make it. In Oklahoma, Indiana series, them tiny markets won't be as watched. You don't have Spike Lee and all of the celebrities showing up. Hopefully Indiana makes it, just for the sake of the NBA. We'll see. How long has it been? Have they ever made it to the finals? I mean, even going back to the Ewing days, they've never made it to the finals, have they? Certainly haven't won. Looking in the comments, though, Trump also pardoned Kwame Kilpatrick. Really? Oh, my God, not Kwame. Did he pardon Kwame Kilpatrick? Now, listen, I want to say something on behalf of Trump. Wow. He's the Detroit mayor that was involved in all kinds of corruption. I want to give Trump at least a little bit of credit from the criticism he's been taking. He pardoning black people, black criminals, felons. So for folks who are saying he is racist, this ain't what a racist would do. Kwame Kilpatrick also, I think he got like 25 years. He was a mayor of Detroit. He made it on, you ever seen American Greed? The show that comes on CNBC where they premiere all kinds of Americans like the Bernie Madoffs and shit. He was on there, so you know he was getting paid illegally. But Trump pardoned Kwame Kilpatrick. Damn. This motherfucker looked like he's just going through the criminal phone book like, let's find somebody to piss him off tomorrow. Wow. Unbelievable. I think he's going to go down in history. And some of the, I mean, we well beyond Biden pardoning his family already. We're in month 4 and he's doing this shit. Can you imagine 3.5 years of this? By the time we get done, he might have posthumously pardoned Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy. He's, oh my God, Kwame Kilpatrick. Shout out to Kwame. All right, let me go back to the box. Holy shit. Crooked birds of a feather. Yeah, somebody said that. What would you expect the 34th time felon to do if you put him in office? He living up to that, man. P. Diddy, you need to start wearing look, get me a MAGA hat. Next time I'm in court, I would tell my lawyer, get me a Trump was right about everything hat. You can get out there and say, this shows that the Biden criminal justice system was railroaded. Find out if any of your prosecutors were appointed by Biden. He really needs to do that. How about P. Diddy? He really needs to do that. Show up to court with a MAGA. Anything you can get that they'll let you wear in there that says MAGA, you need to. P. Diddy got plenty of money, plenty of celebrity. He needs to do that. P. Diddy, I mean, you pardoning Larry Hoover? You can look out for P. Diddy. Ain't nothing but some baby oil. Shit, I got a little bit of sunscreen here. Baby oil never hurt anybody. Let me go back to the box. P. Diddy, goddamn. He should pardon Derek. We'll see. It would not surprise me if Derek Chauvin gets a pardon. It really wouldn't. Going back to the box. Pardoning P. Diddy. Suge Knight too. Shit, they need to speak up. Continuing on with the program. Stick the ruler. Good evening, Stick. I always give my subs a one-up. Thank you for that, by the way. Continuing on. Oh, I got Sherbert. Sherbert, good evening. Nah, Tim. Have Diddy, leave Diddy where he at. Well, some would say leave him all where he at, but Trump is letting him out. Sherbert, good evening.
How's it going, Tim?
That's going good. I know you're not a happy voter right now.
No. Why would I be happy about us letting criminals out? I thought this was the party of law and order, and that seems to be the last thing we're getting.
Yeah, if this is the party of law and order, I guess Mariska Hargitay is not very happy right now because
I hate to see the party of law and crime.
Yeah. I think you could write a book alone in the future on Trump's pardons. I mean, just his pardons alone is a book.
I'm so confused why Gen X gets so mad when it's such a double standard. All of the bullshit he was saying about, it was maybe a riot. It was 100% a riot. That guy's an idiot.
Well, Gen X is MAGA. I mean, he has a slightly different opinion. I mean, he is MAGA, so you're going to get, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of element of defense for President Trump, but he has a strong defense. I mean, obviously, he doesn't even believe Russia is a bad guy, sound like. So
if you can't understand that Russia is a bad guy or taking the plane from the Qatar, the country that's funding most of the world's terrorism, if you're not principled on that, you're not principled on anything. So he can shut the fuck up about anybody making him a sandwich because he's probably going to die alone at that point.
Damn. So how do you now Creed in the comments, when we talk about pardons, Creed says just last month you guys wanted an MS-13 member to come back to the country. So are the liberals in the standpoint where they can't complain about Trump's pardons because they have been favorable to MS-13?
No, who said that?
Creed on YouTube said that.
Hey, Creed, go fuck yourself.
Are you be nice to my guests?
No, because they're going to say some stupid shit like that. All of the evidence against Kilmar Abrego was all circumstantial horseshit.
Yeah.
But they're going to say that the guy who killed a bunch of people should be released?
Yeah.
Or Derek Chauvin, who sat on a guy's neck and didn't do anything wrong? No, you guys can get fucked if you're going to be this dumb about it.
There is no shortage of people, Sherbert, that do believe that Derek Chauvin did not take the life of George Floyd. Most of the folks on the right do not believe he took that man's life.
Yeah, that's why they voted for hate.
What do you mean by voted for hate?
I don't know, Tim. If they don't see that as murder, then of course they don't see anything that Trump does as wrong. It was very clear that he murdered that guy straight out.
You're talking about
We
George
had
Floyd.
literally the entire country to protest the entire countrywide over that guy getting killed because of Derek Chauvin.
Yeah.
How would you ever say he didn't kill that guy? And if you do, maybe you might need that, cognitive test that Trump keeps taking.
Well, they're suggesting that he had fentanyl in his system. Maybe he was
So what?
the COVID.
He deserves to die because he has fentanyl in his system?
No. They're saying
I thought we were supposed to be saving the lives. I thought we were saving the babies, but no, that guy didn't get murdered. Everything's fine.
Well, they're saying that maybe he was dying of COVID, or he had an enlarged heart. I've heard a lot of different stories other than that knee on the neck.
That's utter horseshit, Tim, and you know it. I wish that's where they're calling you fluffing, because you're not pushing back against these people that hard. I heard you pushing back against Gen X a little bit, but Jesus Christ, you can't admit that guy was murdered?
No.
Or that it was a full-on riot at the Capitol?
No, they don't believe it. No, they believe, you heard him say he believes that them folks were duped or were set up on January 6th.
Well, you better be pretty retarded to get duped that hard over literal nonsense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so these are the people I will never be friends with, Tim. I can't hang out with them. If I find out they were either at January 6th or said it wasn't even a riot, it was a peaceful protest, I'm walking away or punching them in the head. There's really no other option here.
Well, wait a minute. You're going to say I'm fluffing here, but let's be real. Most of the folks who showed up on January 6th were not violent protesters. The ones that Trump, Giuliani, and Bannon and Don Jr. spoke to on the front of the line did not make the walk to the Capitol building. Most of the protesters on January 6th, they were nonviolent.
I don't care, unfortunately, because if they got duped by this man just saying it was stolen, it was taken, and you feel like you got to go all the way to the Capitol for that with zero evidence, well, you're going to get duped into buying a bridge to nowhere.
Well, how do you respond? Now, Beatnik Farmer in the comments says, I wish I could have taken a White House tour that day on January 6th. How do you respond to folks who say, listen, it was just a tour?
It's really dumb because we have video evidence of it. It's one of the most filmed things ever. Yeah. And if you're just saying, no, there was just a tour, you clearly don't understand what happened there. If you're so willfully ignorant of that, I can't trust you to make basic decisions. You probably shouldn't have a driver's license.
Damn.
If you're willing to say that.
Damn. Now, in the comments, Will G says, Elon must smell like shit. He says, as we predicted, Elon departs. Yeah, Will G don't play around. He says Elon is departing from Trump. He's leaving by way of Doge, probably to save Tesla. But he says, but not without ROI. All the department investigations on his companies have disappeared. However, he isn't pleased with the big, beautiful bill. What do you think is sparking Elon to just say I'm out?
It was a job complete. Time to exit the war when he's already, gotten rid of all those investigations and made, $100 billion more over this last 4 months. If I could make $100 billion in 4 months, I'd go fuck off to the Caribbean, honestly.
Wow. So you basically said it was a big grift.
Tim,
I'm
is that
asking.
really even a question?
I mean, that's what you're
saying. Everything they do is a big grift. That's why they wanted to give Starlink the airport job or the contract to replace all the communication systems. It's all a big grift. They just wanted to come in and steal. There's no way around it. Anybody that's saying otherwise can get burned in hell right now.
Damn, you're rough. I guess the thing is, folks, we voted Trump in because unlike these other politicians, he came with his own money, allegedly 15 billion. He didn't need our money, wasn't taking his salary. So we voted him in because finally we could have somewhere we could trust that wasn't there on a take.
No. They voted him because they love Andrew Tate and that whole personality cult. Those are the same people that would be the top G. They don't care. They just want to go with the personality cult, Tim. I'm tired of you saying we voted. I didn't vote against him. I know you didn't vote for him.
America.
I care.
America voted for Trump.
I get that, and I understand when they said that, I didn't vote for Biden. He's not my president, and I'm feeling the exact same way.
Fair enough. So a very unhappy voter you are. In regards to this whole Ukrainian thing, how do you see this? I mean, now Trump is starting to be anti-Russia. He's threatening Russia now, saying they got 2 weeks to get their shit together. Kind of like what Obama said about the red line in Syria. Do you think there will be any meat behind Trump's statement if Russia doesn't adhere to it?
Not at all, Tim. He already loves Russia. He loves Russia more than basically anywhere else in the world because I'm pretty sure they own him with all the money they've given him over the last 20 years. But nothing will ever change. I will believe it when I see it. The same way about the tariffs, of you really don't know 24 hours to 24 hours. Until he actually does literally anything against Russia other than a mean tweet, which he does against U.S. politicians literally every day.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? He said, "Oh, please don't," and that means anything when he said talking the worst shit about Jamie Raskin or whoever. Liz Cheney got destroyed and kicked out of her entire job because she worked against him for a couple of months. What the fuck does a mean tweet have to do with anything or going to do about anything here, Tim? Actions have consequences. When I say fuck MAGA reacts and Gen X, it's because their actions are telling me who they are. Trump has told us who he is. And until there's actual action, nothing matters.
And do you think Russia will stop?
No. They want that land more than anything. They want to dominate and control and be the USSR again. It's pretty clear. I'm pretty sure that's in their manifesto for this war.
Well, you heard Gen X. Gen X says he don't think that's what's going to happen, and it's because he's saying that they've been constantly getting closer and closer to NATO's border. So to Russia's border, NATO has to some degree. He's suggesting that Russia has a right to defend itself.
See, that's why Gen X is a retard, because now there's even more NATO borders across since he started this war.
Yeah.
It's the self-fulfilling prophecy here. What was it, Finland, I think?
Finland, there's two countries. Was it Finland and Sweden recently? 2 countries did.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So they literally did the opposite. We're not trying to attack Russia preemptively, but they started this war because they're afraid of that. Fear rules everything and puts us into the worst spots. Trump is afraid of a lot of shit, and so he attacks everyone. I don't know. I'm tired of living by fear, Tim. I'm starting to live by anger. Fuck these people.
Jeez. No chance you could reconcile with MAGA, huh?
No, never. Not at this point. After 2016, after 2020, maybe. There was a way around this. There was a come to Jesus me moment. And then they doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on Trump. And at this point, if you don't see him as a dictator, I will never trust you.
All right, Sherbert, strong words. As always, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming through.
All right, have a good night. Fuck MAGA Reacts.
I gotta go. All right. MAGA Reacts ain't even came up. Damn, he proactively attacking him. Real quick in the comments, Asa said if you give Trump credit, he made China look powerful. How? How did Trump make China look powerful? Oh, you mean with the tariffs? Backing down? I mean, that's where the taco Trump always chickens out is coming from. All right, hold on, Tim. You ain't turning down donations respectfully. Who the hell is doing that, Marshall? Real quick in the comments, I want to make sure I didn't miss out anything. Caller wants to wear a dress. What is that? guys on YouTube are crazy. Ace Ventura says if you get Trump, yeah, he made China look. Well, and the thing about it is, I think Trump has his own agenda. So, which he should, but his agenda, I think, is more beneficial to him as opposed to the nation. Real quick before I continue on, the caller is Russian. Listen to that accent. I haven't had any Russian callers. I have not at least not yet. But we'll continue on. I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, I think I got everything going here. Tap the screen, by the way. Get your boy on up to 60,000. We making it happen. 60. You got me up to 50, F-I-D-D-Y. Get me up to 60,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. We'll take the next caller. Simply put, this is a rudimentary live. I just really want to ask you folks, are you a happy voter? And of course, I'm open to compliments, complaints, suggestions. I want to make a more entertaining program. So you see some shit you don't like, we uncensored. So you feel free to state it in the comments. We'll tackle it. Hopefully we can make improvements here and address things there. So yeah, compliments, complaints, suggestions. That's what we're doing today. The big beautiful bill gives Trump all the powers he ever wanted, tracking people and their political views and ignoring the courts. That's one that frightens me. Will is saying that the big, beautiful bill will ultimately give Trump all the power he ever wanted and allow him to track people and their political views and ignoring the courts. I don't like the fact that they're already trying to do that with folks that come to visit the country, where they want to be able to access your social media and all of that shit. We're losing free speech rights. We are certainly losing free speech rights. Folks that are protesting on college campuses and things like that are being held accountable for it. It's starting with immigrants and visitors and people. Well, you shouldn't be able to visit the country if you're speaking negatively of the U.S. online and shit like that. So you're basically saying that immigrants should not have free speech rights. You should not be able to come to America if you're criticizing America online. That's bullshit. You don't have to be patriotic to a country you're visiting. When I went to Mexico, I talked about the fact that the water down there is not safe. I mean, you can't criticize the damn country. You got to be... We're losing free speech rights. I'm just going to tell you that. That shouldn't be allowed. Now, if you're talking about doing, committing acts of terrorism against America or something like that, then that's different. But just going through people's social media pages and seeing... Let's say, for instance, you got a picture of children losing their lives in Hamas. And you're saying the U.S. ought to be ashamed of themselves for this, which most of the killings that's happening in Gaza is being done with American ordnance and weapons. So we are involved in it, whether you want to admit it or not. I don't think you should be prevented from entering the country if you don't think that if you have an opinion that we're involved in wars that we should not be. I don't think they should ban you from entering the country. And the reason I have a problem with it is because I feel like anything they do to them, it's only one stepping stone for them doing it to us. Certainly the due process thing, an illegal immigrant doesn't have the right to due process. One stepping stone from doing that to Americans. If you believe it'll stop there, I just think you're being naive. Of course, George Floyd wasn't a hero, but he was a catalyst for police misconduct and racial injustice. The right will never get that. I think they do. I just think they don't want to be on the same team as Black Lives Matter and Floyd. But yeah, George Floyd was no hero, but yeah, definitely he sparked a whole lot of things like mandatory body cams in a lot of departments. A lot of departments banned chokeholds after that. I went to a Black Lives Matter protest back in 2021 or something like that, and the chief of police was there, and he stated, "Yeah, we're going to ban."
We're missing data. We're missing demographics data. We're missing voter data that I don't personally have access to, and I don't have the money to hire someone to go through and review it. Okay. But it is a close race. Like, everyone swears 2024 was a close race. 2020 was a much closer race. What's his name? Harris lost Georgia by like 200,000 votes. Trump only lost Georgia by 10,000 votes.
But he lost.
Same thing with Arizona. He only lost Arizona by 10,000 votes, where she lost Arizona by like 50 or I don't know the exact numbers, but it was way more than 10,000.
But he lost. He did lose.
Yeah, but it was a close race.
Okay,
they could find as much fraud. Like, there's a lot less fraud to be found, or a lot less it's a lot closer of a race with Trump in 2020. So if they do find like 10,000 votes that were fraudulent, it could give him the fucking win. Where with her, they're not gonna, like, it's impossible to find 50,000 votes, but it's very possible to find 10,000 votes. It's like in 2000, 500 votes gave Bush the win in 2000. So all they had to do is find 500 fraudulent votes, and Al Gore would be our president in 2000. But they didn't look in 2000, and they didn't look in 2020. They just wanted to, once they got a result, they wanted to move on, and whoever had the better lawyer and better propaganda won.
Yeah. And Trump claimed there was fraud happening in states that he actually won. He didn't look either.
Yeah, but even the states where he won, he had such a major win that didn't matter.
No, actually, that's not true. That's not true. In North Carolina, Biden was winning North Carolina, which is a red state, up to a few weeks before the election. And Trump was claiming there was widespread fraud all over North Carolina. On election night, Trump won North Carolina, but he didn't win it by a lot. He did not win that by a lot. But once he won, hold on. Once he won, he didn't say shit about the fraud anymore. He was totally okay with all the widespread fraud he was alleging once that state went to him.
Hold on, let me look up the numbers.
There were more counts than ever in 2020, says Sean Herbert. That's true. Trump hired Trump
the biggest election ever with 20 million people more, yet it was won by 10,000 votes in Georgia. Sorry, 12,000 in Georgia, 10,000 in Arizona, 20,000 in Wisconsin.
What about North Carolina? What about North Carolina? How many did he win by in North Carolina?
I'm looking it up right now. North Carolina, Trump won by 758, by about 100,000.
And he claimed there was widespread fraud in that state. Why didn't he look into it? Why didn't Dinesh D'Souza in 2000 News look into it? Once he won, he didn't give a damn.
Because it's a lot easier to find 10,000 fraudulent votes, and it's actually 74,000 votes in North Carolina.
No, because he don't want to find fraud that may show he didn't win North Carolina is the answer. Once he wins, he don't give a damn about the fraud.
Wasn't close. North Carolina wasn't close. Pennsylvania was close. Georgia was really close. Like, you got to realize, like, 5 million people voted in Georgia, and he only lost by 10,000. That's a lot different.
It's been 4 years, MAGA. Why the hell hasn't he looked into what happened in North Carolina?
Because it's impossible to do it without breaking the Constitution, and people's votes are sacred, and we'd have to violate that to look into it.
He hired multiple recounts in Georgia and all these other states. He had court cases and everything. Nothing. He couldn't. You telling me he couldn't do nothing in North Carolina? Nothing at all.
You need a study of all the voters. You need to call them and ask them if they actually voted. When you recount the same bad votes. If they're fraudulent, you're going to recount the same fraudulent vote. You would have to call the voter and be like, hey, did you vote in this election? And if they say no, then you'd be like, okay, so that's a fraudulent vote. But you would have to sit there and call, about at least 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 people to verify it. If you really want to prove it, that's how you prove it. Fulton County was very suspicious, so you would have to call a bunch of Fulton County voters and verify that they voted, especially.
Okay, I mean, that you got me dizzy. I gotta go. MAGA Reacts, always a pleasure.
It's hard and it's impossible. That's why it's going to be very hard to prove.
You got me.
Someone confessing to it.
You got me dizzy. Thank you for coming through. And as I always say, I always bring. Now he's young. He's younger than I am. I always bring up the toy we used to play with back in the 1970s and 80s. Used to be a toy for some of you folks that might be Generation X. You'll remember it. Called the sit and spin. How many of you folks remember that? Just a piece of plastic you would sit on, and it had a disc in the middle, and you'd spin around it. It was called the sit and spin. Every time I talk to him, it makes me think of that toy. You got to probably be 40, 45, 50 years old to remember it. Called it sit and spin. Literally every time I talk to him, he makes me think of that toy, a sit and spin. Sean Herbert says there were more recounts in There were more recounts, or better yet, there were more counts than ever in 2020. Fuck you, said Sean. Sean, you getting hard. God damn. Real quick in the comments, and thank you folks that are tapping the screen. I'll give Trump credit. Okay, I'm still seeing Ace Ventura's comment. Okay, I have one in my. You still have a sit-in spin, really? Wow, that's a classic toy, Rod. That's down there with my buddy and me, my buddy. Remember that old? Look, I'm going too far back for some of you folks. Remember the My Buddy toy? That's what you're going back there with that kind of stuff. The sit-in spin, huh? If I had a daycare, I'd have a green machine. How many remember the green machine with the two handles for steering? It was a big wheel, but it had two big ass knobs to steer it, called a big wheel. Okay, looking in the comments, I'm thinking of a punching bag when I hear him. Says alter ego. Wow. Oh my goodness, Jesus. Yes, I used to do donuts on them. Yeah, big wheel would be a good toy to do donuts on. You go ahead and pedal it as fast as you can and yank one of those knobs back and that thing would spin all. I think I probably did some of those myself on that. Real quick in the comments, don't know what I'm hitting here, but Donald Trump won 3 elections in a row, says Mark S. He's president. He has control of the House, Senate, Supreme Court. He sure is doing a piss poor job in proving that he won the 2020 election. I wish he listen, if he showed that he won, I would take all the flack the liberals could throw at me for giving him credit. I would give him credit. But the fact is, there's a lot of cheating coming from the right. Look, if you believe Trump won the 2020 election, you can see clear as day things that look suspicious that may have helped out the Democrats and Joe Biden, and you totally ignore or dismiss cheating coming from the right. Like all of the fake electors that pled guilty, well, they probably felt railroaded by the system, so they just pled guilty. That's bullshit. I mean, there was a lot of cheating on the right. So how could you say he won by a landslide? Well, because I only see liberal cheating. Yeah! Thank you for the hat and mustache there. Whoever just sent it. Alter ego. Thank you. Going back to the box, someone said Trump or Taco didn't win in 2020. That taco shit is really sticking, huh? How long before somebody anonymously sends a plate of tacos to the White House? Or better yet, Mexican restaurants that start selling like orange tacos and shit. Because, I mean, obviously, a lot of Mexicans have no love for President Trump. So, taco, God. I mean, how long is it going to be before you start seeing Mexican restaurants somehow linking their tacos to President Trump? Fucking orange tacos and shit like that. Put the lettuce on the top of the taco like in the fashion of Trump's hair or something. Give you some tacos that'll land on their side and take the lettuce and angle it like Trump's hair blowing in the wind. You can expect to see that shit. It's a selling point. Continuing on with the program, though. Love your comments. Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that. Mini weather. Going back to the box. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 80,000. THOU, if you will. Miss Mo Better, good evening. Welcome to the program. Yes, he bought his way in. You're right. Money works with Trump. Money absolutely does work with President Trump, which is why I do believe that if you speak favorably of him, you got some celebrity status, and you got some money, it increases your likelihood of getting a pardon from Trump if you need one. P. Diddy, that means you. I'm telling you, P. Diddy should show up to court wearing MAGA shit. He really should. Go out and get them fucking shiny shoes. Get yourself a Trump Bible, which you're probably allowed to carry, and get a MAGA hat if you can. Start talking about judges, biting judges and fighting with you. I really think that P. Diddy has a chance. I mean, he was worth $1 billion when he went in. He got a few million to spare. I mean, at this point, he'd probably give away every damn thing he have. You can take the box of baby oil at this point. Just save my ass. So, yeah, it would not surprise me if P. Diddy starts trying to speak favorable of Trump. He told us to vote Democrat or die. Who the hell told you that? My last guest didn't come up. A lot of people that went to his parties were accused of voting for the other side. I think it would. I'm just telling you, right now, Trump has made it clear. If you got loot, celebrity status, and you got the the wherewithal to speak favorable of Trump, show up in public with him a few times, help remove that racist level as a black man, show up with him and, whatever the case may be, go to his crib like Kanye. You can get that pardon. You can get that part. I think P. Diddy can make it happen. I really think he could. Certainly between now, look, maybe not right now while the case is going on and the court shit is going on, but give Trump some leverage. Let's say P. Diddy is convicted, which probably will be, I think, based on what we're seeing. He probably will be convicted of some of this shit. He's not going to walk. Gets a good sentence. Let's say they throw 10, 15 years at him or something ridiculous. Trump got 3.5 years. Before Trump is gone, look, I think the guy got over-sentenced. You know Trump, how he feels about women jumping on board to cash out on the rich man, because he's dealt with it himself if you listen to him. Women trying to get paid off the fact that he got money. Probably would be easy to convince Trump that some of these women are lying. After all, women accuse Trump of rape. Women accuse Trump of mistreating them. So it probably would be kind of easy to convince Trump a little bit of that. These bitches are on the take. Sir, you've been through it, sir. You've been through it. Playboy Mansion, some of them mess with you, right, sir? Look out for it, brother. I know you like people of color. All of this racist shit is bullshit. I know you care about everybody. It's a good time to show it. Help a brother out. What you need for the campaign. Anyway, moving on with the comments, or better yet, going to the box. Are we at 80? Tap the screen, get your birthday 80,000. Going back to the box, not just accuse Trump's a freak. Ain't nothing wrong with being a freak. Miss Mombetta.
He is a freak, just like him. They are like two peas in a pod.
And
see, this goes back to show you though, their money and our money are different.
True.
You can have the same bank account, but their money and our money is different because they were basically accused of the same things.
Yeah, but their money is long.
But they denied Diddy bail. He wanted to give up his passport. He was ready to put up his house. He was ready to surrender bank accounts, and they said no.
Well, you see what happened with Russell Simmons. I mean, I don't know why P. Diddy didn't get his ass out of the country. He's seen this shit coming. The minute
Russell Simmons hauled ass.
Yeah, Russell Simmons is chilling in Fiji right now with as many women as he can get his hands on. P. Diddy should have left.
I catch his ass too. Shit. Listen, Raggedy don't care who wears it.
Yeah. But I mean, their money is long though. Do you think it's a chance that Trump may pardon them?
I don't know. It depends on the looks at the outcome of his trial. I mean, he might.
It ain't gonna be a good outcome.
Because Trump wants to remain in good grace with the black men. He know black women ain't really fucking with him like that.
Why is that? Why is it that he did better with black men than really any Republican president in our lifetime, but the black women snubbed him? Why is that?
A lot of our black men are not articulate, and they can relate with him. I'm sorry. I said it. So they he's like throw a dog a bone type shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They went, he gave us stimulus checks. Oh, look, now they're gonna say, oh, look, he's pardoning Big Meech. Larry Hoover. So what? So what? He wants to remain in good graces, so he know when it's time for his peoples to get elected again, because unless he changed the Constitution, he can't get elected again. That his peoples will remain, when it's time for him to campaign for them, they'll come out like, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that. Trust me, it's costing them a bag for them to do stuff like that with Trump. Trump does nothing for free.
I don't think Trump, who right now is the oldest president we've ever had, he's older than Biden when Biden got inaugurated. I don't think he's trying to run for a second term. I think, just like what one of my viewers said about Elon, mission accomplished, you got the court cases off your back, you made a ton of money. I think Trump's situation is the same. He was facing all kinds of criminal charges. He's beat the impeachments. He's beat off the criminal charges. He's a free man. He's very wealthy.
That's why he ran. That's why he ran. Once to get right, and I agree to a certain extent. Right now, he probably don't care what happens. Yeah. As long as I don't have to go to jail, I'm good. I made me and my family billions. Yeah. We're good. You understand? So he don't really care what happens. He probably opened up the gate. But again, people talk about the people that he's pardoned. Look how many people he executed on his last term.
What are you talking about?
13 people.
Who got executed?
Yes. 13 people were executed under Trump his last term. So he had the power to save one, but he said no, he couldn't do it because something with the family. Even the family of the victim pled with Trump and them to pardon the man, to stay at execution, and he said no.
Well, Trump 2.0 is a different guy than Trump 1.0. Trump 2.0 may have pardoned him because Trump 2.0 doesn't have to worry about accountability, where Trump 1.0 did. Trump 1.0 also had to worry about trying to run again and get reelected and all that. Trump 2.0 don't have those worries. So he's a lot more freer and a lot less accountable, surrounded by a lot more loyalty. So he's in a much more favorable situation than when he was last time.
That's true. That is true. He has a lot more. He has a lot more leverage right now, and he's unhinged. He has no guardrails right now, so he could do whatever. The Supreme Court and Congress allowed that. You understand what I'm saying? However, when it came to the tariffs, do you see how they shut him down? Said what he was doing was illegal. Yeah. When it came to the tariffs.
But how do you respond to people?
The order that he signed was for emergency situations only. He was not supposed to have unlimited tariffs. I don't have the exact words, but that's what happened.
But he does have a right to
shut him down.
Yeah, but he does have a right to appeal that, so we can't celebrate just yet.
Of course, appeal. But the thing is, he's losing those appeals also, Tim. Everything he does is doing now. He's going to court. He's losing these things. That's why you think he keeps signing executive orders.
Yeah. But in regards to his pardons, particularly pardons of men of color, is it time to remove the racism label from Trump? I mean, he is pardoning black people.
Trump is. I don't give a damn how you put it. He's a bigot. He's a bigot. There's a difference. Bigots don't even like people that look like them. If nobody has the same bank account as him and the same status, he won't fucks with you.
So
and that's period.
So he's not racist toward blacks. He's more classist.
Yes, he is. He's racist. Look at everything he's doing that affecting the black people. How are you taking away black history? Why is he taking away black history? Because he knows the true history of this country. The white people are that y'all have an ugly ass history, and the people now are the descendants of it. They are the beneficiaries of the blood, sweat, and tears that the black people shed on this land here.
Yeah, but I have to ask, if he's so much of a racist, why he's pardoning black people?
So he's pardoning black people that have money. He's not just going to get no regular person that don't have money. Trust me, that's costing them a bag to get.
Other than January 6th, though, Mr. Mobetta, he ain't pardoning everyday white people either, though.
That was a political. You already know that's a political thing. He everything he does is to defy somebody on the left.
Okay, well let me ask you this, because I mentioned earlier, Trump doing better with black men. JPT Farms, thank you for the hat and mustache. Appreciate the support. I mentioned Trump doing better with black men, but not so much with black women. Now, this comment, I don't know what the race of this person is, but this is coming from Evelyn, who's obviously a woman, probably not black with this comment, but she says black women get cock-suckered by the black men daily, but not marrying them and leaving them knocked up in welfare. As a Hispanic, nobody gives a shit about blacks. No one should. Other races do well.
What does she mean that nobody should give a shit about black people? What is she talking about?
I think that's pretty self-evident.
She said all of that to say what?
She don't give a shit about black people, I guess.
All right, so how about she scratch and sniff or sit and spin and keep it moving? You that was definitely an unpopular opinion. You could keep it moving.
Yeah, somebody says.
And again, black women have been the most disparaged creature. I will say, because we are all created in the world. In the world, because we took it just like the men did. So again, it would have to be a whole history lesson given on here, Tim, for people to even actually understand. And even if you give it, they don't want to hear it because it doesn't go well with their narrative. They don't want to hear that. So listen, when things like when they talk about slavery and stuff, slavery was never abolished. It was just pacified. So what happens is it shifted from the white hoods to the police uniforms and the governors and judges and stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We didn't start being a part of those kind of societies until the 20th century.
It took time. Here's someone that sounds very similar to you, Mr. Mobetta. Says Trump loses everything he does because everything he does is illegal. Now, this person says in caps, he is a racist. Says, why the hell don't you get it? Keep drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm assuming this person is referring to me, but it says,
about you.
Yeah, keep drinking the Kool-Aid. So I guess I'm hanging out with the Jonesboro people. But he says, black men don't read, and they are easily pulled into bullshit. This is a woman, obviously, telling me.
It's possible. Some of them don't. Not all of them are. You know what I'm saying? I still stand 10 toes down for hours. You understand what I'm saying? But if I'm going to do that, I have to be corrective too. You have to take the corrective as well as the love and the applause. You understand what I'm saying?
Why don't y'all do? Let me take the side of a white woman. Why don't y'all do better with y'all men so y'all men wouldn't do this shit? If y'all men don't see the plight that you guys are concerned with,
tell them if they stay in their fucking lane, then we won't have that problem.
Whoa.
Tell them to stay in their lane, and then we won't have that problem.
I gotta ask you to.
We're not getting ready to tap into that because that can get real ugly, Tim.
Because I want you to define lane. I always hear words. These.
I'm sorry.
Lane.
If they would get out of that mental where they're still trying to play catch up because their husbands and daddies tried to keep them from that mandingo, then we won't be having a lot of this problem.
It's a good conversation.
But see, again, they go over to them. They keep saying, "Oh, when we date outside of our race because black women are angry." No, black women are tired. We are tired. We got a lot to be angry about. If you want to really get technical, we have a lot to be angry about because now you're disrespecting how our education levels and you're trying to disregard the struggles that we actually had to go to, and then you try to label us on top of that.
But how do you?
We're the most lovable people out there. We accept anybody into our race.
But how do you respond to so many black guys who do say the reason they date outside their race is because black women don't treat them right, or that white women treat them better, and all this other shit you hear?
Well, again, they bought into that Uncle Ruckus bullshit. That's that Steven from Django type shit. Those are the motherfuckers that turn Harriet Tubman in. You understand what I'm? Listen, the mentality is passed down as well, Tim. That mental is passed down, and because they have an issue with one person, then they wanna label everybody. You understand what I'm saying? And what it is, black women hold black men accountable. They don't like that. They don't like being held accountable. We're not supposed to challenge them or question or ask or anything or expect them to open up their minds and have a better.
Well, I'm going to play the chauvinist role and tell you this: most men, particularly alpha men, don't like their women challenging them. I mean, that's kind of the masculine way, so to speak. I mean, it ain't got nothing to do with race. It ain't got nothing to do with race.
I have a news flash, and this is a gem. There's only one alpha and one omega, and that's God. God is the alpha and omega. Everybody else need to start being truthful about who you are. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where this is where a lot of this stuff come in, because people have an identity crisis, or they're trauma bonding, or they have Stockholm syndrome. They start calling stuff for what they are. You don't like black women. You had a bad experience with a black woman. Now you think all black women are like that? Listen, I'm not here to shoot. If you ain't shooting at me, I'm not gonna shoot at you. But just know that I got my finger on the trigger.
Ooh, damn. You got a superstar associate in the comments. Mel Hope says, white women raise these assholes to think that they are superior to everyone walking this earth. White women will put up with shit that black women will never put up with. Do you see any validity in that?
That's absolutely true. Because, like I said, Tim, and it goes back to tell you, because black women had this almost the same struggles as the black men coming up. You understand? Yeah, when they go out in the street, they have, they have to walk on eggshells, so to speak, because the color of their skin, they could be pewed or something like that going outside the house. The women had that problem too. But we were in the house where massa was graping us. That we would have to give birth to our baby to give it to somebody else so we could breastfeed their babies.
Well,
we had all that same stuff too. We got whipped too.
Well, in the words of the late Rodney King, can we all just get along, Miss Mobetta? I do gotta move
Listen,
on.
we try for the most. And another thing, I don't listening to MAGA reacts is like listening to somebody scratch their nails on the chalkboard. I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't know how you do it. I was like, this dude is giving an ultimate headache.
He has an interesting opinion. I like to have different opinions on the show. MAGA reacts certainly. He's kind of the MAGA side of Gangsta Grandma, because Gangsta.
Right. Put them on the counter together. Let's see how that works out.
Oh my God! That's like
she gonna go to 1,000.
Yeah, that's
She's
like
going to 1,000.
That's like vinegar and baking soda. I gotta move it on though. Miss Mobetta, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. In the comments, pretty good, Miss Lady. Somebody favorite my last caller. Props to you, handsome, for what you do. Caleb Cross, thank you. Appreciate the comment. And that's what we're doing here, by the way, folks. That's all this program was about today was I wanted to hear the complaints, accept a few compliments if there were or concerns. I want to maintain an interesting, entertaining platform. And I did want to take your suggestions. We were opening ourselves up to questions, political questions, of course. You can feel free to ask the host political questions and things like that of that nature. But I want to make sure we continue delivering a entertaining show, and we can be informative where that is applicable. But nevertheless, we're going to remain MAGA friendly. We've always been that way. We never will change from that. But liberals are always welcome as well. And we will try to maintain an uncensored format for as long as we can. Some of the apps are getting bad. TikTok is getting real bad with the censorship. And unfortunately, so is Trump. I'm concerned every day that folks that are not favorable to Trump may face censorship online. I mean, Trump is closing in on that too. So TikTok, I guess you would say that was left. But then, of course, Trump. And, his side. So people don't like free speech anymore, unless it's what they want to hear. Looking in the comments, though, why didn't Democrats bitch when Obama deported 5.2 million because your TV didn't tell you to? That's true. That's 100% true. Easy there, killer. The Democrats didn't know he was doing it. But by the way, I did a video, a 6-7 minute video or something on my YouTube page about exactly what you're talking about. There were Democrats that were complaining. In fact, I posted pictures in my videos of people marching down the street with signs that said Obama stopped deporting people. There were people that complained. One of the reasons why people didn't bitch about Obama deporting people as much as they are about Trump, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one being is that the right in, dissension to Obama did not want to admit that one thing he was doing, it was something they agreed with. He was actually securing the border. But you don't want to give the opposition credit. So they were telling people Obama was for open borders when he was president. They weren't actually telling people that, this dude is actually securing the border. They were lying about it. The only reason Obama started getting any flack is because when Trump became president, and started getting criticized for separating kids and putting them in cages. Well, Obama was doing it. Well, you didn't say that when he was in office because you didn't want to admit he was doing what you actually wanted him to do. You went around talking about he was for open borders and all that shit. But then once you got in trouble for securing the border, now you got to go back and say, well, actually he was doing the same thing. We were lying about it back then. So that was one of the reasons also why Obama didn't get the same criticism as Trump. But he did get criticism. He actually did get criticism. Just the lying from the right about what he was doing, the media not telling folks what he was doing, and the fact that he didn't go around on stage bragging about it. All of those things contributed to Obama receiving less flack and criticism than Trump does. Trump likes to make it clear. I like to separate kids, because it deters people from coming here. He makes it clear he's doing it. Obama didn't do that. Do you believe that the Democrats care more about money than their own citizens? Such as Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, he cared more about illegals than helping all the murder stop and help crime. I think every politician cares more about money than their own citizens. You're not going to get rid of that shit by voting right. You're just not. Everybody in this country, let me just tell you this, right? We're a capitalist country, damn it. You could be dying of cancer. You could be on your 5th wife. You could have children that you've never seen before in your damn life. But if you have a good bank account, they call you successful. All we give a damn about is money. When you ask the question, do Democrats care more about money than their own citizens? What do you think fighting against universal health care is? Well, it might cost too much, so we can't make sure everybody's insured. You're putting money above the health of your own damn citizens. You're not going to get people that care more about citizens than money by voting right or left. Both sides. And particularly, I think it's more on the right, because every social program that might help Americans, even those pro-life mothers that you want to have kids, you don't even want to give them food stamps and daycare and shit. So getting rid of the Democrats and voting right is not going to give you people that care more about citizens than money. It's just not going to happen. Both sides are money hungry. We're having a live right now where we're suggesting that you can get out of prison. Damn how your victims feel if you give Trump enough money. So you're not going to get rid of that by voting right. Looking in the comments, Democrats with poor brown and black babies dead. Oh, Democrats want poor brown and black babies dead. So what do you think is happening in Republican areas? You think no Republican women terminate children? You don't think all of these Republican men that cheat on their wives and impregnate their mistresses are using this shit? Only liberals? You think only card-carrying Democrats walk into abortion clinics? Really? You believe that? Do you believe that Trump himself, with all of the infidelity in his past, has never used that shit? Damn it, he banged a porn star raw. So that if you're going to bang Stormy Daniels raw, and she's on video fucking everybody, you got to assume he's busting inside of a few other women. He banged a porn star raw. You think he might have not been pro-choice a few times? Really? Looking in the Trump has 8 kids, says MAGA Reacts. Maybe 8. What do you think? This is 8 is enough? Hi, Bubba. You Democrats, not Democrats. Democrats don't give a shit about us. Look at Joe Biden. You ain't black if you don't vote for me. Please don't forget about Democrats. Started the KKK. There's a whole lot to unpack there. I don't even have enough time to go into all of that party switching and all that. But okay. She wouldn't have sold a country to make himself and his friends rich. Democrats had a heart for the people. Stop it. Depends on which Democrat. I see tacos is all in the comments. Tap the screen. Get your guy on up to about, we almost can get to 100,000. I can't see, the screen is white. I want to put my black ass hand up here so I can see 85,000. Tap the screen, get the likes up before we move on. There was no party switch. Yeah. All I can do is tell you, find a historian and ask them that. Anytime you hear people say there was no party switch, the Civil War was not about slavery, the Confederate flag is just about pride and heritage, find a historian. Just find somebody who studies that shit and then come back and have a conversation. Just find somebody who studies it, see what they have to say. Don't dismiss them right off the bat. Listen to what they have to say. You don't have to take it from some talking head on a social media app. Go find a historian and talk to them. That's what I would tell you. Looking in the comments, awesomeness. My brain hurts now, says Ben Rutgers. You're gonna hear everything here because we run an uncensored program. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. The Republican Party is no more. The Republican Party is no more. You now have the Loyalist Party in that stained frat house. I agree that the Republican Party is not a MAGA party. I 100% agree with that. I say that the Democrats were at risk of the same thing happening, meaning that President Trump and Senator Bernie Sanders, if you want to believe this, you got to hear this out, but Senator Bernie Sanders and President Trump have a lot in common. Both of these men do not accurately represent the party they ran for. Trump is not a Republican. He's not. You look at his previous stance on gun control and a host of other. He's not a traditional Republican. He's not even Christian. He said that several times. He's not. You know what church he regularly goes to? He don't fit the narrative of a traditional Republican. Bernie Sanders, he's not a traditional Democrat. He's a socialist. He's not a Democrat. Now, Bernie Sanders was thwarted in his run to become the head of the Democratic Party because the Democrats being folks, the lead Democrats at the time, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and all of them folks realized if this guy wins the top of the ticket, he's going to become someone that fundamentally changes what our party stands for and we'll never be the same. They realized that on Trump as well, but they were not successful in taking him down. If Bernie Sanders had became the Democratic nominee and won the presidency, he would have permanently changed the Democratic Party. We can argue whether it would have been for the better or the worse. We can debate that. But he would have changed the party, but he did not win. Trump did, and Trump changed the party. And if you notice, both men had a hell of a lot of pushback from the leaders in their parties at the time. Bernie was always at odds with Nancy Pelosi and all of them. Hillary Clinton and all of them. Trump was also at odds with all of the leaders of his party. In fact, I don't think there's any former leader of the Republican Party that likes Trump. I'm talking about John McCain was once the Republican nominee. He doesn't like him. Mitt Romney was once the Republican nominee. He doesn't like him. The Bushes were actually the Republican president. They don't like him. The whole Bush family doesn't. None of them like him. The head of both parties did not like these men. The only difference is the Democrats stopped Bernie Sanders. The Republicans did not stop Trump. And Trump has changed that party, and you probably will not get the traditional Republican Party back for a while because people are going to vote whether for or against Republicans expecting MAGA. So MAGA is going to vote for a Republican in the future expecting that person to be like MAGA. And the Democrats are going to vote against the Republican Party expecting the person to be like MAGA. Traditional Republicans don't have a chance for a while. We'll see what happens, but you're either MAGA or you're going to get a Democrat in there because MAGA's not going to like you. If you're running as a Republican, MAGA's not going to like you. Anyway, looking in the comments real quick, because Trump doesn't have character like those men. I'll leave that alone. I'll leave it at that. Real quick. Only American people like him. That's all that counts. I don't know. What are you saying? If you don't like Trump, you're not American? Is that what we're saying? That you don't have a choice in who you vote for? Either you vote for our guy or you're no longer considered a citizen of the country? Really? That's how it works? Trump took the Republican Party and they fell in line. I don't think there's any denying that happened. I don't think there's any denying at all that the Republican Party has fell in line behind Trump. Donnie is a principled man. Am I right? No. No. First question I would ask is, what are your definition of principles? Hell, even his marriage, like, what is your definition of principles? He's negotiating with terror. Even the principles of the United States is not following. You know, what is your definition of principles? How can you support a person who hates your kind? A criminal and a compulsive liar. Keep Bernie Sanders out of your mouth. Damn, Connie. Jeez, I don't know if you've watched the show before, but you don't sound like you're gauging me properly. But I appreciate the input. Thank you. You make a good Klansman. Jeez, I've never been told I would make a good Klan. You know, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. Do they make Klan outfits my size? And make sure the eye holes are really small. You can't show any of the skin around it. That might be a dead giveaway. Looking in the comments, though. Facts. They'll never vote the GOP. No, at this point, you're either voting Democrat or MAGA. Yeah, because the Democrats are not going to vote Republicans. They're afraid you're putting MAGA back in. And MAGA's not going to vote Republican because they don't believe Republicans have the United States' best interest at heart. MAGA wants MAGA. Democrats don't want MAGA. So Republicans, yeah, I think that for a while, shit has changed. Shit has changed for a while. They're called California king size uniforms. Okay. So you can get a Klan outfit. California king size outfits. Okay, I'm learning. If you vote for Democrats, you vote for the party that fought to keep slavery. Too many uneducated people on the channel all the time. Yeah, that's a parties did not switch argument. Here's one of the things I don't understand. If you're going to run from the Democratic Party, because that's the party that organized slavery, I don't want to be around the Democrats. They're the ones that started slavery. I'm going to go vote Republican. And then you start hanging out with the Republicans, and all of a sudden they're flying around the Confederate flag and defending the statues of the slave owners. Do you feel like you're in the right spot? Okay, this party was for slavery hundreds of years, but this party now is defending the guys who used to own slaves. They want to leave up statues and tributes to them. In fact, President Trump just recently renamed a few military bases back to the name of Confederate soldiers. He had to use other people to get the last name, but the Democrats were the ones that did not want institutions in this country named after former slave owners and Confederate soldiers. The Republican Party under Trump said, no, we're going to name that shit back. So I don't want to be around the party that started slavery. I want to be around them because they like to idolize the slave owners. That makes sense? That's the party that sounds better? Okay, I'm learning. That doesn't make sense to me, but I'm learning. Okay, looking at the comments, at least you know your history, LOL. They flipped after the Civil War during Reconstruction. It don't fucking matter. If you're defending slave owners in 2025, it ain't that kind of party. Maybe I need to sit down and have a conversation with you as someone I need to get away from. I want to make sure I defend the history of slave owners. I don't want the slave owners' history to be erased. What? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm just going to tell you that. You're okay with getting rid of all of the type of shit that the descendants of the slaves went through, whether it's getting rid of the Tuskegee Airmen, being taught in the Air Force academies and all that. You're getting rid of all the black, but I want to make sure that the slave owners, that their statues in the facilities named after, I want to make sure that remains. We're the party that loves you. That makes sense? You got to kind of force that. You know, you put a square peg in a round hole, and you kind of got to push it to make it fit, because damn it don't supposed to. I got rid of the Democrats because that was a party of slavery, and I'm hanging out with a bunch of guys that got Confederate flags even on their belt buckles. I'm in the right place now. Square peg in a round hole. Got to push hard to make that fit and sound right, right? All right, looking in the comments, though. Why the MAGA hat? You're always going to, that's a good question. You're always going to see the MAGA hat behind me. I'm MAGA friendly. Always have been, always will be. I understand the name of the program will run MAGA away, period. I don't want to fucking talk to a liberal. But I want you to know, despite the politics here, we defend free speech. Always have been, always will be. And I do believe solemnly that when the Republicans, particularly MAGA, start to speak, they get banned and blocked and censored more than liberals do. So the MAGA hat is always to show you that regardless of your politics, you can come here and talk. Nobody's going to censor you because you got an opposing opinion or because you criticizing a host or somebody in the comments. It's all about free speech. So you'll always see the MAGA hat because it's meant to be a beacon to show them that you can talk here. Yeah, your side might get criticized, but you can criticize the left as well. That's how free speech works. Now, I will say it is difficult as hell to maintain MAGA. I used to have a lot more MAGA when I was really hitting Biden hard on the economy and some of his fuck-ups during his time. But he's not president anymore. The fuck-ups are coming from Trump. So MAGA doesn't like to hear Trump criticized. So I've lost some MAGA, but my audience used to be about 80% MAGA when I was really banging the fuck-ups from Biden. I believe in free speech. I don't just criticize the right and celebrate the left. I'll criticize the left all day when things are wrong there too. And when Biden was president, there was a whole lot wrong, and I criticized it. I had a lot of MAGA watching. Trump took over and he started fucking up in areas, and MAGA was like, no, we think he's perfect. We got to go. And Democrats started saying, okay, I hear you now. I feel you. You're coming home. Start inviting me to cookouts, goddammit. So that's why you see the MAGA hat. MAGA hat's always been there from day one. Anyhow, I do appreciate the 94,000. That's not true. I've been with you since you started the program, says JP. All of my lives, all of them. If you go to the Handsome Liberal on YouTube, every live we do is on there. You can see them. They're actually on there. So you can see them. I'm not making shit up. They're actually on there. The minute this live is done, it's on YouTube permanently. So I don't know what you saw, JP, but it's on there. Look at it. I like your channel because you're honest about your positions and welcome debate. Yes, Caleb, we absolutely do that. So if you enjoy this type of dialogue, feel free to follow the program. If you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, you can. We're not on Instagram right now, but generally when we're live, we're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube vertical, YouTube horizontal, all simultaneously. Right now, because I'm in a car and I don't have enough room on the fucking dash, we're only on TikTok and YouTube. But if you got Instagram or Clapper, the Handsome Liberal there as well. And for folks who wonder, well, how can I call in? You can actually come up and be the audio portion of the program, and you can challenge me, criticize, compliment, cuss me out, whatever, on all of those apps. So Clapper, Instagram, TikTok, all the Handsome Liberal. And if you just want to listen, YouTube as well. YouTube doesn't allow me to bring people up, so I can't. If they allowed it, I would. How come you're not going to lie on Clapper? How come you have not gone on Clapper in a while? Well, because Instagram, I was getting more viewers on Instagram. I mean, I have 4 cameras usually aimed at me. I do have a spot for a 5th. So sometimes I go between Clapper and Instagram. But because you asked, I'll make sure Clapper is in there, JP. I'll certainly make sure of that. Thank you. Anyhow, I do appreciate you folks tuning in. I got to step away. I missed the world news. You know, I like to know what the fuck is going on, but thank you folks for tuning in as always. It's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. Show the program some love. Certainly give me a sub, a follow, and until tomorrow, I'll catch you guys then. Take care. Have